Okay, so before this video starts, I just wanna say that this isn't my story. It's a fanfic. The link will be in the description, which will have other links as well. Also, with these videos I don't listen to the videos I upload, so if there is anything that is too bad or explicit for YouTube, then let me know and please timestamp it. Anyways, let's get into the video.
Hello?
Anime demigod.
Here?
With Ren. Ren was sitting on the bed in her room. She couldn't believe she actually agreed to help the pervert in his plan, if you could really call it that. Flashback. Excuse me. Ren wasn't stupid, and she heard the phrase, "I want you to be trafficked," come out of the pervert's mouth as if he was discussing the weather. But still. Care to repeat that? Jiraiya sighed. He knew it was going to take a lot to convince Ren. Look, Gaki, the man who runs this caravan and trading company Takeda is a known human trafficker and drug smuggler across this region of the continent. Ren inhaled a sharp intake of breath, which didn't go unnoticed by Jiraiya. The Human Intelligence Division of the Fox Clan, whose job is to study what was happening in the human world, reported recently on the sharp uptake in kidnapping and drug addiction, but couldn't pinpoint the central location. Jiraiya, though, believed it was her being scared or finding it disgusting. I know, he continued, it's horrible, but the Hokage hasn't been able to prove anything, yet. That's why I'm here. The man must want you, probably for your Uzumaki blood, so he'll have the same thing done to you that has happened to many others before you. And that is? Ren asked, kind of fearing the answer. Heh, he's already started. You have a hotel room, access to the hot spring to make you relax, and then tonight you'll be given the highest quality of food, laced with sedatives. Then you'll be taken from here and put into the caravan headed towards the auction somewhere near and be sold to the highest bidder. So, you need me to allow myself to be captured and then you follow me? Sort of. I'll have a toad hide in your pocket, that will help me track you. It's completely safe and you just have to look pretty. Do we have a deal? That made Ren freeze. Crap. I know the toads. Gamabunta and his two sons were at the summoning summit last spring for a conference about the number of summoners allowed per clan. But wait, there's no way Jiraiya would endanger one of the boss's children. I'll be safe, and nobody but those two would recognize me. What's in it for me? Isn't a million ryo enough for you? No. No, it is not. Pervy sage. Ren's cheeky glare made Jiraiya cry about the unfairness of it all, to have to put up with another smart-ass Uzumaki. Then, how about I also find another caravan to take you where you want to go after this? Ren nodded. Turn around and let me change before I meet my partner. She didn't notice Jiraiya's subtle confusion. Most never thought of summons as partners, and she looked too young to actually be a summoner. Nevertheless, he nodded and complied. After changing into her cloak and opting for the bandana to cover her ears, Ren walked back towards the hot springs, nodding to the lady at the desk, claiming she left a towel there. Walking in, she heard a familiar voice. Pops says if I get hurt on this, he'll beat you down the mountain. Okay. Now give me sweets. Why me? Ren lamented. Why did it have to be Gamekaki? If he recognized her as the lieutenant who watched him and the other boss children, it would lead to unpleasant questions. Yeah, Jiraiya's voice said. I promise, you and this Ren girl are just the beacon for me to find the auction in order to officially arrest this scumbag and authorize Konoha to go on an official investigation. Ren breathes out, vowing that Naruto was going to pay when she got out of this. Sneaking behind the small toad, who was actually a couple inches larger than before, Jiraiya took in her appearance and introduced them. Gamekaki, meet Ren. Ren, meet Gamekaki. The toad turned around and instantly recognized her. Oi. Hey, but he was smothered in a hug by Ren, who spun him around for his cuteness. You know who I am and what my specialty is, right? She whispered during the spins. Gamekaki nodded, nervous. Good. Now, act like we just met and don't let the pervert know about my position, and you get extra candy, and I'll tell your father about us working well together. However, if you blow my cover, well, accidents happen, am I right? Gamekaki nodded vigorously. Pervy sage, Ren called out, a sweating toad in her arms. I think me and Kichi will work together just fine. End flashback. Now she was stuck with the tiny toad, glad he didn't call her bluff. Even if he did blow her cover, killing a member of another clan that was allied was grounds for banishment and execution. But the annoying brat in front of her didn't need to know that. My ears out and twitching, I loomed over the little toad, looking rather intimidating. Hey, Ren. Gamakaki, nicknamed Kichi, much to his ire asked. What are you doing in the human world? Are you on a mission? Kind of. It's a long-term mission from my clan's summoner. I'm his familiar. She didn't want to divulge the information on who her summoner was, even if it was illegal for the clans to tell their summoners who the summoners of other clans were. The toads were high enough on the food chain to forget that rule and let it slip who the foxes had as a summoner. You mean you, the flying death of the kitsune, the crimson death, the fabled snake's bane, you're Naruto Uzumaki's familiar. Kichi blurted out. How did you know that, and if you told your summoner you just broke part of the treaty? Ren threatened, brushing over the numerous stupid nicknames the clan gave her in order to boast their standings. Kichi gulped, and quickly explained. No. Only I know about him. Some of the fox kits that are training to be in your squad came to the mountain last month. They talked about how cool their summoner was, how this Naruto guy had their original boss, Kurama, sealed inside him, and how even though he's still a kid as well he could slaughter mountains and fend off 10,000 bandits. Is it true? Kichi had stars in his eyes at the thought of Naruto, causing Ren to sweat drop. No, she snorted. Ramen Freak can't slaughter mountains. I don't think mountains are able to be slaughtered, and he can't hold off that many bandits. Though, he is a prodigy for his age and he's doing amazing things for the world, not that I would ever tell him that. I'll have to have a talk with the elders soon about the kits not knowing how to keep clan secrets. Ren turns a stern eye to Gamakaki. Now Kichi, I expect this information to stay between us. Nobody is to know about my summoner's identity, even your father, and especially not Jiraiya. Understood? Kichi nodded, promising not to spread the info around. Why can't Jiraiya know, though? Kichi blurted out. The toads weren't known for making escapades into the human world under the guise as anything but summons, so it was a valid question to him. Most summons were proud of being recognized as one, and didn't hide the fact. Sigh. Let's just say even though he can't touch me without getting in trouble with both my clan and yours, since our summoners are not battling themselves, I can't take the chance of him finding out where Naruto is. It's too dangerous, and my mission is covered anyway, since I am a part of both the human and summoning world now. I can play on the lines of both for Naruto, instead of him either risking himself or making the clan spend a lot of time slowly gathering information. I can go undercover completely and get the info quicker. Kichi nodded in understanding. It was well known the Fox clan had allowed a human actually join their ranks, something that had only been done 3 times in known history. Hey, Ren. How do you get summoned and reverse summon yourself? Ren was tired of the questions but humored him. I have a special necklace that is linked to the clan, making me able to act like a summons. However, for the mission I left it with Naruto since it's very valuable. A knock came at the door, stopping any more questions, and food was brought in after Ren hid Kichi. Swallowing her pride at willingly ingesting poison, she quickly ate every bite of the expensive food without tasting and had Kichi hide within her cloak. Remember, stay hidden. Ren mumbles as the sedatives started taking her under. Unknown to either party, a certain toad sage had hidden in the rafters, using every skill known to him to conceal himself. It had worked. Jiraiya had indeed found out why Ren was acting strange. I need to find out about what she knows about Naruto. I'll ask her after this mess is cleaned up though. Even if I have to interrogate her to do it. Those nicknames though, nah, they're just exaggerations, I bet. There's no way a kid could have done that. And I'm sure Gamabunta would stop any tensions with this Fox clan that starts because of me getting information on Naruto. The Toads are one of the largest clan, after all. If I haven't heard about these foxes, they must be a minor clan. And what's with those ears? They look like fox ears. Are those from joining the clan? With Naruto? Why, I thought summoning Ryu for training would be a good idea is beyond me. Ever since Ren left, May decided that Sai and I needed more training. Sai got to go off and work with an old jonin for 2 months while I either had to travel and train with Zabuza or find someone else to teach me. Ren had told me about her hellish training and jump off a cliff during her time with the man. I thought choosing Ryu would be better than Zabuza's weight training while dodge practice using Konoha, fighting him for days at a time blindfolded, having to carry him to increase strength while he used a chakra-enhanced whip. When I mentioned my decision to Ren, she smiled pleasantly and claimed Ryu was different from Zabuza. I learned to never trust that smile. Ryu was different from Zabuza. Where Zabuza was a benevolent angel, Ryu was the most vile devil to walk the planet. Where Zabuza threw Konoha, Ryu would throw hundreds of kunao with explosive notes. While your chakra was sealed so you couldn't use a kawarimi. Where Zabuza had you fight blindfolded, Ryu summoned his entire squad or the other squads to fight you with orders to not hold back while your chakra was sealed, and you were blindfolded, and your arms were tied behind your back to simulate a battle injury. And where Zabuza had you carry him with whips. Well, I was suddenly wishing for that training. You can't be serious, I stated, looking into the volcano. He had reversed summoned me and had me carry him for 2 days to the active volcano while dragging a large boulder before making me drag the boulder and him up the side of the volcano using chakra for the 4-hour trip. You want me to dangle down into an active volcano and then throw my Hirishin kunao around until you say stop, and teleport constantly to avoid the lava spikes. It was a joke, I reasoned. He wasn't that sadistic. Not even Ibiki would be this cruel to a traitor. Yes, I can be ramen boy, he said, following Ren's example after I ate a month of the clan's food budget when he took me to a ramen stand while under an advanced henge. He said I could eat all I wanted and then proceeded to beat me for following his advice. I swear Ryu had been using that event to fuel his sadistic training. Now have fun. And with that the grizzled old captain cheerfully shoved me off the side of the volcano and raised a barrier above the top that prevented any teleporting outside. I scream and throw the first kunao into the western wall, teleporting to it and sticking to the side. Or at least I would have if the walls weren't made of chakra absorption rocks, making it impossible. I forgot to tell you. You can't stick to the walls, but don't worry, that's why you have the rope. Minor handicap. That's when the captain noticed he had forgotten the minor handicap that now ensured I had to continually Hirishin, throwing the kunao in multitudes of spots. That overgrown plush toy, I grind out. I was going to let the barrier down and send a rope to you, but for that, I'm going to lunch. Don't die, ramen boy. And with that my last hope is dashed. 4 hours later and my stomach had long ago released its contents. Using the Hirishin so much without break was horrible and the air in the volcano was toxic. I had to put my mask on in the boiling heat, sweating, but the filter tags inside made the gas inside less deadly. My chakra exhausted, I feebly grip one of the kunao, but it falls out. I guess this is it. Falling through the air I ignore Kurama's curses and pleas. I'll have to haunt Ren for indirectly murdering me. Meters away from the liquid flames a tail grabs me. Looking up, Ryu's grinning muzzle greeted me as he dangled from the rope. Congrats, Naruto. You can now use that lazy way of fighting to its fullest potential. With a weak smile of triumph, I pass out, not even caring it was the first time he called me by name since the start of training. 2 days later I wake in the Fox clan's hollow. The Fox clan had as large of a territory as the Toads according to Ren, but instead of a mountain it was a large forest with 6 rivers and multiple cliff ends protecting it. In the middle of the territory was the hollow inside a tree said to be older than the Sage of 6 Paths. Over 2 miles in diameter and maintained/grown using chakra, very few were allowed inside the Fox's main home. The inside had levels carved inside to allow hundreds of dens. Every Fox clan had a room for them, even if many were stationed throughout the territory or in the human world. Ren told me I wouldn't be able to come until I was deemed worthy by the clan. Confused by the situation, Ryu was leaning against the open indention in the room, which was just a small indention with a comfortable futon and a bare bookcase in it. However, the ceiling was high enough to stand in and a window was above the bed to allow light. It's not much but it's yours. He smirked at my now hanging jaw. You are now considered worthy by every member of the clan. Those exercises have made you ready to be called a proper summoner and member. You have earned this room until you die or commit treason, whichever comes first. He shrugged, or at least looked like it. But how did my torture gain the approval of everyone? I nod. Simple. That was the training we put every member through before they gain their own room. Well, mostly. I added the volcano challenge to shut up a few of the more stubborn elders. But congrats. You can now wear our symbol and colors with pride. Looking down, I see he's right. My cloak now had the Fox clan symbol and the kanji for Summoner of the Ancient Hollow, the secret name among the summoning clans, a way for summons to talk about other clans to their summoners without necessarily divulging much about their allies. Thank you, I say with the greatest of gratitude. You're welcome, Naruto Uzumaki, Kitsune. Welcome to the clan. Now, your real training begins. A sadistic smile spreads across his face and I gulp. Oh, don't worry, Ramen boy, his smile way too sweet. By the time I'm done you'll be able to fight like a true kitsune and be considered high A class by your silly little human standards. If we survive. Kurama chimes in with a nervous laugh. Huh, Kurama? What do you mean, if we survive? Let's just say that I trained with Ryu for a month once and I used up 3 taels worth of chakra to survive. It was the first time I broke a sweat. That volcano you just faced would be more merciful in killing you than Ryu. Great. I just have to survive a month and a half against someone who made you sweat. I'm screwed. Back with Ren. 30 minutes after Ren fell asleep her door opened and in walked 2 men, one of them Mr. Takeda, the target. The other man to walk in was a bodyguard, a burly man with missing teeth and small eyes on a head of thinning hair. So this is my new guest, huh? Takeda looks at Ren's sleeping form and the ears and tail peeking out. Wait. Well. I see Miss Mai at the desk was right, she is a gem. The man smiled down at the sleeping girl while Kichi peeked out before shuddering at the predatory grin on the man's face. Boss? Why'd we have to drug her instead of just grabbing her by force? Takeda palmed his face. Honestly, all his subordinates were idiots. Fool. Taking them in a public place would attract attention and could injure the merchandise. Especially this little gem here cannot be damaged. This child at our feet will catch me millions alone. In fact, I'm sending her to the private auction for my customers seeking the exotic. Her being an Uzumaki according to her information and these exotic features will set me for life. Mai said she was an orphan looking for the orphanage, right? Yes, boss. Excellent. Then nobody will miss my little gem. Now, just to be sure. Takeda slaps a chakra suppression seal on her before walking out the room. Picking her up the bodyguard follows his boss. In the rafters, a certain Sanin leaves to make his preparations for his role. Don't worry Gaki, I'll make sure you get out. I do need information on my godson, after all. At the auction place, almost 5 days later. Sitting in the crowds were representatives from many private collectors and courts. They were excited. Word was that the man who ran these auctions had a particularly amazing product, a girl with wings and fox features. Who was also a full-blooded Uzumaki, who seemed to have sealing skills. Oh, they couldn't believe their luck, and many who wouldn't usually bother came to get their hands on such a valuable and amazing creature. One particular customer was ordered to pay up to the maximum amount in the account to ascertain the child or snatch it away from the buyer. Root Agent Fu was there for one reason, to bring the Uzumaki to his master alive and unharmed, one way or another. 6 teams of 5 agents waited in the area to aid if necessary. She must become part of Root. Soon the curtains on a rather fancy stage opened up, red curtains parting to reveal a small red-headed child in a sky-blue yukata and a bow in her hair standing in a large cage. The Root agent observed her, his analytical mind dissecting the child as he prepared to start bidding. She had the grace of a shinobi, he mused, observing as the child did tricks inside, giving a demonstration of kenjutsu and flying. Even in a yukata she was deadly. Every ball thrown in or dummy called forth was slashed in an instant. She was then going through an advanced fuinjutsu demonstration as the auctioneer informed the audience of her abilities and what each seal did. The child smiled at the audience. Many of the would-be bidders fell in love with her charming smile and occasional wave with a hello to certain nobles, their fans fluttering in delight. Everyone but Fu was fooled, he could tell she wasn't happy to be there, and there were instances where her face flickered blank or annoyed. Interesting. Sitting several rows down from the undercover agent was the Toad Sage, who had stolen the identity of a diamond tycoon's representative, and he was glad Ren seemed to be playing the willing prisoner. His job was slightly altered since he was in a political firestorm waiting to happen. He had Toad's recording evidence of Takeda and after the auction he would bust Ren out or have Gamekaki reverse summon her. Then, he would arrest the walking trash and have his sensei take care of the rest. All of this, without anyone realizing he was here. Until that time, though, it was time to bid. With Ren. She hated this. Every smile was annoying and seeing the looks, like she was an object, reminded her of the time she had to pretend to be a hostess in training at a high-end entertainment in order to let her father in to kill a certain noble. But, her training made her acting believable and her sanity intact. When she had awoken 4 days ago she was tempted to just say screw it and leave after she disabled the chakra suppression seal. But she couldn't, with Kichi promising to summon Jiraiya if she did. So instead, she made things easier for herself. Flashback. Ren had just sat back down on the bed in a bland room with a window on the door after talking to Kichi, who had hidden under the covers. Suddenly the door opened and in strode her captor, Takeda, with a bodyguard and a woman. "Why hello, my pet," he gushed, rushing over to Ren and petting her cheek. She swore she could hear Kichi snigger as she forced herself to smile up at the man. "Hello," she said with fake excitement. "You must be Mr. Takeda, right? I saw your statue outside the hotel. But hey, where are we? Aren't supposed to go to an orphanage to find a mommy and daddy." Inside, Takeda was plotting. The child was young enough to be tricked, he thought, if he played his cards right. "Well, my cute little butterfly. I saw your beautiful hair and extra features and knew how special you were. So instead of taking you to any old orphanage, I decided to bring you somewhere where some of my friends could see if they want to adopt you." "Really? Your friends want to adopt me?" Ren hated how she had to make her tail and wings move in excitement, but she persevered. "Just think of the money that pervert will give you. Just think of the money." "Yes, of course. But my friends only want special children, so do you have any special skills we could show them? Can you fly yet?" "Yep. I can fly real good, and my old mommy and daddy taught me how to do fuinjutsu, and I can do swords." Ren couldn't believe her mouth, but she knew it was for the better. Most kids at her supposed age couldn't hold secrets and would brag. So, she would put on a show for him. "Good girl. With those skills to show off, we can find you the perfect family." Takeda smiled in a fatherly way and ruffled Ren's hair. Inside, he was plotting. Beckoning his subordinate Yuka over, a rather pretty young lady with a motherly nature. "Yuka here is to help you with a routine for when you meet everyone in 4 days. You'll be a star." "A routine?" Ren asked in faked adorable confusion. Kichi shook with silent laughter under the bed, but was silent after a gentle tap of Ren's heel. Like a circus show, the now identified Yuka butted in. "We will make a show. It'll be fun." Ren nodded with enthusiasm while thinking of the best poisons to try on Naruto for the mess his mistake caused. Meanwhile, a certain blonde got a deathly chill down his spine. "I feel as if I should pray to never see Ren again." Over the next 4 days, Ren was cooperative and cheerful, to the point where all the guards and aides were extremely happy when she came around with her smile, and Takeda wished he could keep her for his private collection. Inside, Ren was seething, but the mission came first. To cope, Ren sent several long, colorful letters to Naruto and Sai through the transport seal and used the new feature of chakra Morse code tapping to bug them at night. End flashback. Over the next hour the bids were placed, and within the next minute the bidding would close to the highest bidder. 900 million, one man from Lightning bid. 950 million, another man calmly calls. His blank expression and intelligent eyes bore into Ren, making her feel uneasy. 1 billion, a boisterous man calls just as the time runs out. She was sold to a jolly noble from Kumo, his triple chin jiggling at his enthusiasm. Ren would rather pay for 10 of Naruto's ramen binges than continue the act, but she acts happy as she's led away by Yuka to get ready for her new life. Fear was slightly frustrated. He had some emotion due to being Danzo-sama's representative, and the feeling of frustration showed a little on his face. Oh well, now time for plan B. 30 minutes later. Ren was annoyed. The fat man that bought her was petting her ears while she was held by a stoic swordsman. She couldn't show it though, so she played along. "Hee. Are you my new daddy?" she asked. "Oh, why of course, my adorable little child. Why, my friends will absolutely love you and you'll be my most wonderful accessory, and with your talents you could do more shows. So that's why he wanted me, I'm an accessory to show off to other nobles." The smile never left her face. She couldn't leave because Kichi had discreetly let her know Jiraiya wanted her to stay with the man until he left the Land of Fire in a couple of hours. There Jiraiya would discreetly take her back to prevent a war between the Land of Fire and the Land of Lightning. She didn't care one way or the other, but she needed to play along for the money. However, that wasn't going to happen if the 30 or so chakra signatures in the trees above were any indication. Suddenly she and the nobles guard, about 10 men, including the one holding her, were surrounded by the chakra signatures. "Nakataka Yuna, hand over the girl or die," the leader, the man with the blank face from the auction, intoned. The guard's grip tightened on her. She was going to help out the foolish noble and get him to safety like the pervert wanted, but then she saw the masks. Rude, she thought, noticing the blank masks and identical uniforms, the NE symbol where the forehead would be. This was her chance. She could help the idiot out, get the money, and then make her way to the orphanage, but that could cause tensions. Plus, she didn't like the guy, and though the money was good, it wasn't enough to risk her life and mission on. Instead of helping either side, she sat back, knowing the root agents would win. And indeed they did. "Ren-chan," the noble said, "be a dear and go with the men. I can't let myself die, now can I?" Ren nods, and slips out of the arms holding her to walk towards the blank-faced man. After sending a subtle signal to Kichi that she was continuing on her mission and not to worry, she left the noble's court. She was going to leave him be. "But don't worry, dear, I'm sure I won't find a pet as perfect as you," he called. "That's it," she snapped. Ren was sick of being called a pet, and decided to make an example of him. Turning back around, she smiled a particularly ghoulish smile. "I am not a pet or a circus performer. I'm an Uzumaki who specializes in assassination. Enjoy hell, you fatso." A few seals later and Nakataka Yuna was burned to a crisp with a fireball. The guards jumping up to kill her were sliced down by the root agents. She didn't feel bad. Ren had heard from the foxes that this noble liked young children in more ways than just having them perform. She did the world a favor. Turning back to the blank-faced man, they had a staring contest. "You won't make me a pet, right?" Ren wanted to laugh at her own question. Like a man of Danzo's reputation would use her like a circus pet. "No, we have use for you in your self-proclaimed specialization. My master wishes to meet you, Ren Uzumaki. Will you come peacefully?" Fu asked, ready if the child ran or flew. He was relieved when the girl nodded her head, but just to be sure, one of his agents knocked her out with a quick chop to the back of the head. "Move out," he ordered. 1 hour later. Jiraiya was livid. Signs of Ren being abducted, with the noble's remains burned to a crisp. He couldn't stand it. His tracking toads smelled a large group of people had surrounded her, no doubt kidnapping her. The trail quickly went cold, and all he could do was add her to the list of children he had to find, except she wasn't a child. She was a summons. A summons who couldn't be reversed summoned back to her clan if trouble arose, but still. Quickly getting permission and being reverse summoned to Mt. Mayaboku, he sat with the 2 elder toads and Gamabunta. "Gamabunta," he started, "it seems a human has kidnapped a summoning." If he was careful, Jiraiya was sure that after informing the toads who would then aid the Fox clan, he could manage to make them indebted to him, and in turn cause them to give them information, maybe even bring Naruto to him. What? All 3 toads were speechless. How was a summons kidnapped? They should be able to puff back. "Yes," Jiraiya said gravely. "It was Ren of the Fox clan. She was helping me on a job when she was taken. Her summoning crystal was left behind apparently to make the mission she was headed to more authentic." This greatly troubled the leaders of the Toad clan. This could mean the Fox clan would declare war on the group that took their lieutenant, and as allies the Toads were obligated to help. The balance between the humans and summons could be broken by this. "Gamakaki," Shima called, and the young Toad appeared. "Take a message to the Fox clan for a meeting. We might have a war to plan." Gamakaki nodded nervously, poofing away. "With Naruto. I was enjoying an amazing feast with the clan, feeling like part of a family, much like how Ren had described it. Tonight all the foxes were celebrating, for Ren had sent me a chakra Morse code through the seal that her mission had started after finishing sort of the job she helped Jiraiya the Sannin with. Thinking about him made my blood boil. According to my father's journal, he was supposed to be my godfather and raise me, but instead left me alone. And Ren reported he was a pervert who wrote smut. Oh, I planned on letting him have it if we ever meet. But for now it was time to focus on Ren's operation starting. It was a big operation, and many of the foxes were looking forward to taking a stab at Danzo when the time came. For now though, as with all of the major missions, a feast was held by the ones left behind to signify their wishes for a speedy and safe return. Everything was perfect. Oi, ramen freak, pass the rabbit. Until one of the foxes ruined it. Seriously, nobody called me by name consistently anymore. It was all variations of ramen freak or ramen boy, everyone claiming it was fair because I ate into their food budget. Cheapskates. Hearing a commotion as I pass the rabbit, I look up to notice a small toad talking with Daiichi-sama, the head fox elder. By the looks of him he was Gamakaki, or Kichi, based off the description from Ren in her letters over the last few days. Wondering why he's here, I walk over and stand beside the elder at a respectful distance. "So, you see, you need to come tell Pops it's part of her mission, okay?" Gamakaki finished, forgetting to mention Jiraiya was there, but his brain could only handle so much. Yes, indeed, the dull gray fox elder with one tail, the others at various parts being amputated from a war long ago, at least according to Ryu, said in a gravelly voice. Ramen Boy and Ryu will go and sort this out, he said, amusement obvious when I called out indignantly. MT Mayaboku, 1 hour later. After being informed of what was going on, I reluctantly agreed to go, not wanting to deal with Gamekaki, who was as annoying as Ren stated. He kept hero worshipping me and riding on my head. It was annoying, but he was the son of the Toad boss, so Ryu warned me to be respectful with promises of harsher training if need be. I still don't know why I'm here, I say as we approach the meeting spot after being reversed summoned to the mountain. I'm a summoner, not a summoning. Ren said summoners are only allowed in their own summons territory. Ryu sighs. Yes, but you forget, the Toads were your father's summons, so they originally expected you to be their summons when the time came. Since we let you sign our contract due to Kurama, it is only polite to introduce you. Besides, they have your seal's key. That caught both Kurama's and mine attention. Kit, even if we have to steal it, we are getting that key. I mentally nod in agreement. I need the key to unlock the seal so that I can safely draw on Kurama's full power. Right now using more than 2 tails was extremely painful. Yes, Ryu continued. I knew that would gain your attention. If you make a good enough impression, then one day they might give it to you. I nod, and vow to make the boss like me. How hard can it be? He's probably not that threatening, anyway. Kit, Gamabuntat, as he's cut off by my gasp at seeing Gamabuntat, the several story high toad. WW wow. Was my intelligent reply. I see a flash and look over to find Ryu snapping a picture with his tails. Grumbling, I continue to walk on towards the large toad, 2 small toads, probably the elders by Gamekaki's description, and a human. Ramen be damned. Kurama, it's Jiraiya. I know, Kit. Throw up the hood and mask. I do so in an instant, but it's too late, he's seen me. Naruto, said the man. He rushed over, a 5-pointed seal already active. But before it reaches me, Ryu has several tails restraining Jiraiya, one holding a sword to his throat. Listen here, Toad Sage, you will not attack my clan's summoner and my personal friend, understood? Jiraiya growled. That's my godson. He's been missing for years and now I can see why. You are holding him hostage for the Kyuubi, aren't you? Ryu snorts while I back away with Gamekaki. The toads say nothing, knowing the Jiraiya just broke several treaties by attacking at a neutral meeting ground, and if they helped him then it could mean war. You gave up your chance to be a godfather when you abandoned him to the wolves in Konoha. Furthermore, though it is true Naruto originally gained our contract by his link to the Kyuubi, he has since proven himself in the way of the fox. He's cunning, strong, and above all, loyal. A true fox. And if you attack him here you will find yourself destroyed. Sorry, Fox, but I don't think so. The Toad clan is the single biggest clan and we are in their realm, so dash I cut in. Nothing. Your claim means nothing because the Toads may be the largest clan, but if they break the treaty then they will have at least 9 clans other than the Fox clan to war with. At this Jiraiya glances at whom I surmise is Shima, who nods, and 2, they won't go to war over you, since you broke the rules. Again, Shima nods at Jiraiya. He sighs in defeat. Fine, I know when I'm beat. You can let me go. Ryu waits a few seconds before dropping the man in a heap. Now that everyone has calmed down, Jiraiya boy, let's start up this meeting. I snigger at the nickname from Shima. I wouldn't laugh, Ramen boy, Gamekaki says from atop my head, causing Jiraiya to snort in amusement. We are here to discuss Fukasaka starts, only to be interrupted by Gamekaki. Don't worry Fukasaka-sama, they know. And they say it's part of a long-term mission. This causes the Toads to gasp along with Jiraiya. Are you saying that she intentionally got captured for the sake of a mission? Jiraiya says, shocked. I nod, drawing his attention to me. Yes, she has a rather covered assignment, so we can't say what she's doing, but know that a rescue operation is not needed. Pervy Sage, Ryu says with a smirk at the nickname Ren had passed around in her letters. I catch on to Ryu's plan of distracting him. Yeah, Pervy Sage. Ren is fine, so don't worry about it. Since we're here though, could I talk to you, Fukasaka-sama, Shima-sama, about my seal's key? Now hold on a minute, how do you even know about the Kyuubi? And that key isn't yours. Actually, it is, Pervy Sage. It's the key to my seal and I am just checking on it for in a couple of years. And as for your first question, I've known since I was around 5. It's not that big a deal, and Kurama is actually kind of great. Only kind of great, fleshbag. I am Kurama the Great Man, you won't downplay my awesomeness. Jiraiya's face pales. Why you can't talk to that demon? He'll corrupt you. Let me look at your seal and fix whatever is allowing his influence on you. He moves closer but Ryu stops him again. He's not evil, I say. Well okay, he's crazy, but not as much as Ren is dash. Her craziness is on its own level, Ryu interjects. And we're partners. So I would appreciate you not assuming things you have no idea over. Tell me. Are you planning to destroy Konoha with this partnership? Because if you are then treaty be damned I will take you down here and now. Jiraiya's voice was deadly, and everyone tensed. How dare you, I say quietly. I've given everything for the village and you accuse me of wanting to destroy it? I left for the sake of the village. Realizing I said too much I turned to leave after bowing to the toads. Excuse me, but I think I will have Gamakaki escort me back to the hollow. Have a wonderful day. Jiraiya stays still, shocked. What does he mean, I left for the sake of the village? Ryu looks at him. Ask your Hokage about the Uchihas to find out. If you'll excuse me, I will be taking my leave as well. Soon it was just the toads and Jiraiya. I really messed up, didn't I? He said quietly. Gamabunte's smoke blowing him off his feet was his answer. Back at the Fox clan, 1 month later. 2 weeks left before May wanted me back to continue with preparations and I was quite pleased with how everything was going. Ren was now ingrained into Root, and Danzo was none the wiser. She had begun training with Mokyutan but reports from her were now not very informational due to the curse seal preventing her from divulging secrets. Now she wouldn't send any more messages until she gave the signal that everything was ready. Sai mentioned that he could now do basic medical ninjutsu and several genjutsu. His other skills had improved, though his letters were generally too vague to be very informational. While he trained, Angel had become a favorite among the troops on their sabotage missions. My skills jumped leaps and bounds as well. My taijutsu and kenjutsu improved tremendously, as the Fox clan showed me how to use my speed and shorter stature to my advantage. I could now dispel B-ranked genjutsu, but it would take more control to stop anything higher. My ninjutsu just expanded to some wide-range wind types, the water whip I saw from that caravan, and hidden mist jutsu that Zabuza had given me a scroll over. I could use Hirishin about 500 times in quick Susazayan before getting dizzy. However, a new downside was discovered in my fervent practice. My seals would wear out after being used about 100 times, meaning I was currently doing my least favorite activity besides Ryu's free-for-all Mondays, making Hirishin seals for my kunao. Today was my rest afternoon, and I was spending it making the seal tags for my kunao along with one for my new weapons, a pair of chakra conductive kodaki. They had black metal and red hilts, and were able to conduct my wind nature chakra. They could use it for fire and water too, but I hadn't mastered those yet to the minimum degree needed. After making 5 storage scrolls filled with 500 kunao each, I felt the arrival of a letter. Thankful for the break, I opened the letter, this time from May, knowing it's probably just another status report. Oh crud, I say after scanning it, swiftly gathering up my supplies and heading back to my room to gather my gear. For a reason not mentioned in the note, the rebellion had moved up the final attack. We were attacking Yagura at midnight. Omake, enter Shisui. A direct sequel to my first Omake. Naruto walked around the village after being thrown out of the orphanage yesterday. The lady said not to come back or else, now he was hungry and cold. Shisui Uchiha was off duty and bored. His naturally fun-loving attitude demanded to be released, but his cousins were busy and his friends were mostly on missions. Walking by a dumpster, he notices a little glob of orange. Hey, that's Naruto. What's he doing out here alone? Deciding to investigate what the orange menace was doing, he questioned the squirt. Needless to say, after the tyke finished, Shisui was mad, his Sharingan flickering. The Hokage would want to hear about this. Taking the dirty child in his arms, he flickers to the Hokage tower, only to find out he's in a meeting all day. What now? He mutters. At this point the kid was squirming and he knew if he didn't come up with something to entertain him fast, a prank would happen. Well, would that be so bad, he mused. He did love a good prank, and the Hokage would no doubt want him to keep Naruto happy, and he did owe his captain back for assigning extra paperwork last week. Hey Squirt, how would you like to help me make someone's day brighter? That night one Kakashi Hatake was found crying in the common room of Umbu headquarters, everyone avoiding him as his Chidori kept flickering on and off. His entire Ika had orange painted pictures on the inside, even the rare special first editions. And all his face masks had orange whiskers on them. Signed in orange paint was Enjoy the Orange Menace's new additions to your literature and masks. The Orange Menace and his accomplice. After abusing his power of summoning, he found out the accomplice was his subordinate, Shisui Uchiha. He would deal with the punk later, but now he had to track down his sensei's son. His Sharingan should be able to implant a hatred of the color orange and a love of Ika. And it wouldn't be a misuse of power because orange was a terrible color for a ninja and Ika should be required reading, he reasoned. Oh yes, teaching sensei's son the joys of literature was his sacred duty as a big brother. Naruto's room, Ancient Hollow. Knowing I only have 10 hours or so to pack, get reversed summoned to the Land of Mist, and set up the final tweaks, I rush through my packing. Why are we attacking months early? Our numbers are not large enough and the infiltration teams haven't finished setting up my invisible paper bomb tags. Heck, I haven't finished making half of them. Invisible ink for sealing was extremely expensive and almost impossible to use. May had been sending small amounts and I would create the seals. After all, you couldn't dodge a blast you couldn't see or sense until the last moment. I don't like this either, Kurama growled. You haven't finished your training here and you can't handle more than 2 tails of my chakra while Yagura can fully transform. That cute flesh bag that hired you can't expect that you'll be able to pull this off, especially since your Biju status is supposed to be a secret. I know, Kurama. And it's my fault about not being able to use more tails of chakra. That pervert got me so worked up that I not only stated we didn't need it until years later, but then I don't wait for a promise. If I had just kept my head on my shoulders, and if he figures out my identity and tracks me down. You are just a kid still, even by human standards. That idiot has always been hot-headed and rude since the time I was in your mother. Let's just get through the upcoming days and then worry about that man. I nod at Kurama's surprisingly helpful words. You're right. Now, I have plenty of my Hiroshin Kunao, 100 explosive notes of various power. Chakra sealing tags, 30 shock tags, the advanced seal to seal away Yagura's demonic and regular chakra, a scroll with 2 more sets of battle clothes, blood pills, chakra pills, enough ration bars for 3 weeks, 300 ramen cups, medical supplies, the poison Senbon Ren gave me, 20 nerve gas releasing tags from Ren, my twin Kodaki, an extra mask and cloak. So I see you are leaving early. Ryu's voice cuts through my thoughts. I look up to see the older fox who had become like a father figure mixed with mentor to me over the last several weeks. Yeah, we're attacking at midnight. I'm in the backup division until they reach Yagura. My job will be flashing through the 4 towers with some other rebels in the Mist Village and eliminating as many men as possible before stopping on the western side to fight with Zabuza. Lady May will throw my kunao once she reaches Yagura and I will appear to block his chakra. But you don't think it will be that simple, do you? I shake my head. It's doubtful. He's cage level, even under that genjutsu. My seal will work but I'll have 30 seconds of writing it out. There's a very good chance he can counter and May's backup plan is using me to fight, Biju to Biju, Jinjuriki to Jinjuriki if need be. But I can't use more than 2 tails without losing it and my Hiroshin can't teleport me when I have the Biju cloak. The chakra is too corrosive. Basically, I will have to fight him with some sort of handicap while only Lady May and Ao back me up since Sai is on the southern side as a field medic and long-range fighter and Angel will be taking the eastern and northern sides since the Hunternin headquarters and Jonin brigades are there. Ah, but you forgot some allies. Ryu says sagely, causing me to blink. Who? Ryu grows a tick mark. The Fox Clan, Ramen Boy. Every single one of us, down to the tiniest kid and most disabled elder will fight by your side. But, what about Dash? The risk of dying? Pfft, boy, has your time with Ren and the weeks here shown you nothing? A fox does not fear death or injury if it happens while protecting their comrades. You are a comrade, Naruto. Summon me and the others to help fight this war. Ryu then pats my head with one of his tails. I smile, knowing he's right. Forgive me, I say, I once tried to have Ren stay back to stop her from getting hurt. It didn't end well. We both wince, no doubt remembering instances of Ren's notorious anger. I would be honored to fight by your side. Good, good. Now come to the main hall and we will have you taken to the camp directly. I nod and finish putting my sealing supplies inside my vest, a black one with various pockets, and slipped on my cloak and mask. Arriving at the camp, I saw a scene of disrepair, with everyone frantically gathering teams and plans to move out. Thankfully the foxes can pop themselves anywhere in the world. Something prevents me from flashing between the summoning and human world. Having to pop somewhere far away and then use multiple flashes, one of which across the ocean, would have used more energy than I could afford. Kimono. I call out to my friend after covering the slip-up, spotting him by the medical tents. Packing ink into his pack and 2 full field medic kits, he looks up. Hello, Teiko, he greets stoically behind his mask. I nod, it was time to get serious. Reaching into my vest I pull out a storage scroll. Here, I say. This has special ink that I infused with Kurama's chakra. Use this and your beasts will be twice as strong. Also, inside is a few poison tags from Ren. Simply throw one down after activating it and then a plume of gas that freezes someone for 5 minutes will be released in an area of 10 meters. Sai nods gratefully and takes them. Remembering what Ryu said about the Fox clan helping, I summon Kimiko and Izuna, 2 of the best medic foxes, with Izuna being adept at fighting as well. Excuse me. I look down at the 2 pure cream-colored foxes with hazel eyes. Would you mind staying by his side? He's going to be a field medic and long-range fighter in this war and you 2 would aid him greatly. I point to Sai who bowed at them in respect and they nod. Yes, of course, Ramen Freak. He's a friend of Ren's so of course we'll keep him from dying. Kimiko says, Izuna nodding along. I ignore the horrid nickname and bow as well. And Kimono. Here is an instant ramen cup. Eat it and gain the strength of 20 men for the battles ahead. I passionately had him one of my limited edition cups and he takes it while the other 2 sweat drop, and people around us snigger. They won't be laughing when they see Sai take out 20 ninja at once because of my ramen. Sure, Kit. Why did I get stuck with another ramen worshipper? Is it punishment for continuing eating humans after I wasn't under mind control? Or was it pushing Shukaku into ocean last time we fought? After saying good luck and dropping off some shockwave tags to various division heads, I head into Mei's tent and bow as she finishes up with her chosen generals. Ah, Kitsune, she greets, it's good you're here. Now we have this war in the bag. I rub my head sheepishly as the generals, 6 of them, one being Zabuza and another Ao, look at me expectantly. Okay Gaki, you better not screw this up or I'll have Haku freeze your balls. Did you learn the jutsu I sent you? Zabuza says, starting off intimidating. I nod in affirmation, a little nervous about his threat. Haku was too nice for that, right? Zabuza grins. Good. Now, change of plans slightly. Shiro will be backing you up, along with 2 others, both former Hunter Nin. Shiro, isn't that the guy who you gave the Kiba blades to? I ask, remembering the black-haired teenager around Itaki Nii's age who had a Keikai Genkai that dealt with lightning. Yes, Mei confirms. The other 2 will split up from you after the towers, but Shiro will fight by your side until Yagura's last breath is drawn. He's very good with the Kiba blades and his lightning-style ninjutsu will aid us in neutralizing Yagura's water ninjutsu until you can seal off his chakra and I deliver the finishing blow. I was wondering, though, why did we move up the date? In several months I would have more tags and we'd have almost twice as many people. That's true, Kitsune, but... All the generals in Mei look down. Unfortunately, our intelligence says in 3 weeks Yagura will be starting a campaign to actively hunt us down again. Our preparations would be basically ruined by that happening, but the real reason is that our spy, his secretary, has reported that the one who redoes the genjutsu, or so we believe based on the reports, has just visited, meaning he'll be gone for another month at least. This is the perfect time to strike while they are in preparations. Our squads have taken out 1/3 of the Hunter and Umbunin, and after you neutralize the towers Yagura's total numbers and supplies go down to half since we have supporters scattered throughout his forces. Mei finishes, and I nod in agreement. It was the best time to do it. Kitsune, we need your A-game for this. It should be a week-long war, and you especially are going to be on the squad that takes out the most numbers. Being one so young, are you able to do this? Mei's eyes bore into mine behind my fox mask. I hold it steady. Yes, Lady Mei, as long as you remember our agreement. I prompt. Of course. An alliance with Konoha without mentioning your group, and no one will know about the Hirishin. I've made sure the towers will be devoid of our men, and the forces have been informed of your bloodline that allows you to use lightning to move extremely fast. Nobody will question it. All the generals give their promise of silence as well. Thank you, I say, and hand her a scroll with 100 of my kunao. When you get to Yagura, Lady May, release this scroll and 100 of my kunao. It should be able to wound him, but also just give me points to flash between. What level would you say you're at now? Ao questions. I can confidently fight B-ranked shinobi without my other chakra or the Hirishin, and A-ranked with them if I catch them by surprise and it doesn't turn into a battle of attrition. S-rank is beyond me more than likely, just because even one hit from those guys would kill or seriously maim me. And with that I turn to go find my partner and the other two. I find Shiro packing kunao and shuriken by the lake, his swords on his back. His brown-eyed, muscled kid had been fighting with the resistance since he was 9, and had seen over 6 years of war. But when he looked up at me approaching, he grinned. So, I see I get my partner in crime to help me kick Yagura's ass, eh? His cheerful demeanor was contagious, and I found myself lifting the mask off enough to see my grin. Yeah, after our victory over Ao's underwear 2 months ago and that bridge sabotage mission, they just had to recognize that we're unstoppable, I joked. Almost 3 months ago I had been teamed up with Shiro to blow up the bridge linking the Mist Village to a smaller island that had a weapons plant. That sabotage, coupled with another group blowing the building up, made a dent into the pro-Yagura forces. After that we found out we both enjoyed a good prank and teamed up to paint Ao's underwear bright pink. We used more ninja skills than should be legal to pull it off, but the results had been worth it, with Ao's face turning beet red and running outside his tent to catch us before realizing he had done so in the pink boxers. It was the first prank I'd played in almost a year, and that day would forever be one of my favorite memories. Pfft, they might as well just send us to Yagura alone, I'm sure he'd just drop dead at our awesomeness, he mock boasts. Then his smile somehow gets larger. So, Kitsune, I see you got my dual Kodaki last week. How do they work? Amazing, right? He looks at me expectantly, as if almost daring me to disagree. Yep. And using these I can help you achieve your dream, Shiro. Last week I received a package from Sai on behalf of Shiro, the swords that he had used for years. It was a great honor, especially considering they could conduct chakra to become extensions of your chakra network. Yeah, a free mist for my little brother. It's hard to believe it's going to be a reality soon. My little brother, Natsu, he just got his first sword for his birthday. I smile at the expression of adoration Shiro takes up while talking about his little brother. The kid was 4 and hidden with the rebel civilians and children who couldn't fight yet but made supplies for the ones who could. I can't wait to see that day, my friend. We need to rest though, the next 5 days are going to be hell on earth. Shiro snorts. It can't be worse than the last 9 years. Midnight, with Naruto, Shiro, and the 2 hunternin. We flashed to a warehouse near our first target, the Eastern Front. I was to use both my kunao and other tags inside to kill everyone I could inside before blowing it up. The others would take the upper floors while I worked from the bottom up. I was nervous, waiting for the signal of a bomb going off near the hunternin headquarters. Despite my bravado earlier, taking out so many ninja at one time was daunting and sickening. Relax, kid. Just remember, it's you kill them or they kill you and every one of your new friends. I know, but nothing. Close off your heart and pretend that every one of those ninja you kill are personally killing your friends. I'll be here the whole time. Besides, mass destruction is what you should enjoy doing as my container. He adds cheekily at the end. I snort. Yeah, stop it. I know you don't enjoy bathing in human blood constantly. Quit pretending you do. Don't assume to know my hobbies, flesh bag. I'm about to retort when the signal goes off. Gulping, I breath deep, sensing all my tags nearby. With another breath, I'm gone. Appearing in the bottom after dropping the others on the middle floor, I work my way up to the top of the 7th-story stronghold. The resistance predicted around 100 shinobi would be guarding it. So far I had taken out 90 and I was only on the 3rd floor. Why is this so easy, I wonder? This doesn't make sense. Sure, there are way more than predicted, but they can't seem to dodge or fight back, and some are awfully young. This tower was supposed to be mostly Chunin and some Genin. Most of these guys fight like they're... Oh please no. My face goes ashen as I realize that for every fully grown Chunin or Genin there were 2 academy-age kids to distract me. These bastard. Nobody uses children like this. Not even demons throw their own at the enemy. Yeah, I know, but we have to kill them. Let's just make it quick. I jump over a tall Chunin with a whip, flipping in midair to impale the man with a kunao laced in wind chakra. Running forward I slash at all my incoming attackers, most of which don't wear a headband. Forgive me. Seeing the weapons scattered around, I call out, wind style, great breakthrough, in the crowded hallway, ending the 5 kids and 7 shinobi running towards me as the weapons impaled them. I block a punch from a girl my age who snuck behind me, thinking she could take me out. With a slice she's added to the group. I meet up with Shiro on the 6th floor. The other 2 both silent, and more coats and masks had left the tower all ready to kill any stragglers outside. I took him outside before going back to my position to check for stragglers and set off the explosives at the top. I was to pick them up after setting off the tower. Reaching the top I counted over 300 on my way, killed either by the others' hands or mine. The final room, which held the Mist's records for this sector, was filled with 400 nin. We had never been able to place seals in this room, but I couldn't keep flashing constantly anyway. I had 3 more towers to get to tonight. Time to do this the hard way. Looks like it's a kid, the apparent leader said. Yeah, should be easy. Let's take his head to Yagura-sama. Another one, a woman, spat out. They circled me, swords drawn. Little boy, we aren't like those weaklings whose blood cover you now. We're Yagura-sama's elite. I would have thought those brats we had come here for extra training would have been enough to stop you. They were so happy to come, even if we did just bring them for meat shields. My blood boiled at this, as did Kurama's. Hey, Kurama, should I blow it up and move on, or should I have some fun? Definitely. I've wanted to see what that new jutsu looks like if you have projectiles flying around. Those walking corpses are the perfect testers. I grin fearfully and run through a series of seals while dodging a downward slash of one hunter and then ducked under a strike meant to separate my head from my shoulders. I jump and squat on top of a file cabinet in the corner. The ninjas think they backed me into a corner and surround me in a semicircle. Perfect. I open the top drawer with my foot, revealing more paper than is already smirking. I call out. Wind style, hurricane barrier. At the last syllable the room explodes in an outward sphere of air courses from my body with papers cutting the ninjas up in thousands of places. The torrent lasts about 15 seconds and when it ends all of them fall down, dead. Making 3 hand signs the tower starts exploding from the ground up. Without another look at the corpses I sense the next nearest group of Hiroshin Kunao and flash there. 5 hours later. The last tower, the western one, was by far the hardest, taking 2 hours to finish. As I blow it up before going to the Kunao on Shiro's side, I shake my head. I had used Hiroshin to take Shiro and the others to the western camp and then went to the top floor to destroy the last tower. That's when a spider summoner appeared that just didn't seem to want to die. How the hell did that guy summon 350 spiders the size of humans? I don't know if I would have the amount of chakra required for that many foxes even with your chakra. And his outfit. KEH, the spider clan always had too many. Sure there are thousands of them but they are weak and only take a small amount to summon them. Don't think too much of it. I plan on burning that spandex suit with fake legs out of my memory. Appearing next to Shiro, who had taken a break behind the lines and was napping off his low chakra, I looked down at Ryu who was smirking. The other 2 had already left for their next assignments, after never once speaking the whole. What's got you so happy? Oh, nothing. Just basking in the new bragging rights I've gained by killing so many of those overgrown tarantulas. He preened as he remembered his role by slaughtering more than 200 of the arachnids. I had summoned his squad after the first tower and they had picked through the numbers like flies. After the 4th tower, though, only Ryu stayed. Is the Fox clan not allied with them? I question with a raised eyebrow. He snorts. The day you denounce ramen is the day we sign a treaty with them. So never. I deadpanned, slightly horrified at the thought of denouncing ramen. Correct. We've been looking for excuses to thin out their numbers without starting a war and you just gave me the way. Will you stay and help? I ask, plopping down next to Shiro who leaned against a box full of medical gauze, snoring. Of course, I can't let Ren's pet have more kills than I. It would destroy my image. He lays down next to me, and I wipe away some spider guts using my shirt. Angel might be hard to beat. I heard from Sai by the Morse code chakra signal that reports claim she's ended several platoons worth and took out one of their warehouses by growing to its size. The pulses were useful, even if they did misinterpret often enough. An example would be when Sai meant to send me on a raiding mission, I finished of my 6, when he took out his assigned tent but instead sent, I finished my 6. That magical house cat doesn't stand a chance of beating me. My honor as an assassin captain demands it. An hour of rest and 6 ramen cups later and I'm ready. I make a few seals and a bucket worth of water pours down on the sleeping teen. Hey sunshine, I tease when he sputters about sadistic foxes that take away his sleep. I hope the rebellion isn't taking away from your beauty sleep. A jolt of lightning chakra gives his reply. Ouch. Serves you right. Shiro sits up all the way, his black hair soaked. Accepting a ration bar from my supply, he looks at my bloody clothes and mask with bits of spider guts decorating random spots. So I take it you finished up. He says, mouth full of rations, sticking out at random places. Disgusting. You have no room to talk. Your ramen binges are just as bad if not worse. Oi. Ramen is God's gift to man and those eating it gain an angelic beauty. What is this, a cult? Not yet, but one day. I say cheerfully. Kurama face palms in my head. Yeah. I did. So many people, and the first tower had academy students. I looked down at my hands that had been covered in blood before I scrubbed it off. After every slaughter I emptied my stomach, and Ryu had looked at me in sympathy each time. Sigh, I know it's hard, believe me. But we have to keep going, for the future of the mist. I nod at Shiro's words. You're right. Time for Phase 2. Phase 2 was us meeting up with Zabuza and Haku as they pushed the west side with the rebels, heading towards the center of the village. Shiro nods and grabs my left hand, my other hand on Ryu's head, and we Hirishin away. Appearing next to Zabuza, who was crouching in a tree, using the mist to hide, we nod in silent greeting. Below and 30 meters ahead is a squad of Jonin, judging by their chakra signatures. The plan was to lure squads out to the wooded areas like here and take them out. Zabuza had covered the whole area in a chakra-shrouded mist, making it impossible to see in. Gaki, bigger Gaki, you're late. We've already taken 10 squads out. This is the last one in this section before we join the main field. Don't get in the way. I sweat drop. First he got on our case for being late and then didn't want us to get in the way. Talk about contradictions. Yeah, senpai. Let's have some fun. Shiro jumps off his branch and into the mist, Ryu joining in. Zabuza face palms at his impatience and follows suit after whispering, Haku, Kitsune, go find some other guys to mess with. Haku and I share looks before jumping through the trees in a different direction, towards the areas Chunin were reported in. With Jiraiya. Jiraiya was annoyed. Not only was he in trouble with the Toads for almost starting a war and they banned him from using them for a month unless life or death, but he couldn't go tell his sensei about Naruto until he finished with his part of the investigation. Finally, though, he was walking back into Konoha, ready to let his sensei know that not only was Naruto alive, but that he knew about the fox and had somehow started having a bond with it. He needed help on capturing his godson and beating some sense into him. Jiraiya felt bad about assuming his godson was plotting against Konoha, and winced at the memory of his actions. He planned on finding him and making it up to him. Reaching his sensei's window, he sees him reading a document, a scowl on his face. Hey old man. He starts out cheerfully, knowing the Umbu were not to be told about Naruto's fake death. Only him, the elders, the Hokage, and Kakashi knew it was a facade. Jiraiya knew faking Naruto's death was better for the village, and kept him off the Akatsuki's radar, the new criminal group that seemed to be seeking out Jinchuriki, but wondered how he planned on integrating him back into Konoha. Ah. Jiraiya, here to bring good news about Takeda, I hope. The aged Hokage laced his fingers together, a smile on his face. Yes, and I have information on my other project, if you could just send the Umbu out. The Hokage nodded solemnly and complied. 30 minutes later saw a rather confused and worried Hokage. His last statement. I was wondering about that, Jiraiya said. Sigh, the Uchihas were planning a coup using the Nine Tails power before Naruto left. I was going to have Shisui try to use his Mangekyo to stop it, and if that failed then they would end the coup, with the Uchihas. Jiraiya looked at him, horrified. Sensei, you're saying you were going to kill off the entire clan? I had no choice. The Hokage bursts out. It was for the good of the village. But it seems Naruto knew leaving would solve my problems. He always did seem to be much trickier than he let on. I still don't know where he went or how he left. He sighed. Keep an eye out, and continue searching. We must find him, though I'm elated to hear he seems to hold the will of fire. Yeah, Jiraiya chuckles, it will make it easier to make him one of the Leaf's ninja. From listening to Ren he seems pretty strong. Silence greeted him and Jiraiya looked up to see his sensei looking guilty. About that. When Naruto gets back I plan to have him placed in Alpha Squad. No one will know he's alive. Are you crazy? Jiraiya was livid. The Hokage's top Umbu, who were so dedicated to their leader that they never left the squad unless debilitating injuries took place, and even then, they stayed on as helpers to the Hokage joined that branch. They threw away their identities and were either always in the village or sent on the worst missions. No, Jiraiya, I am not. You think I like condemning a child like Naruto to such a fate? But it's in Naruto's best interest. Don't you mean your best interest? Sarutobi tries to speak but Jiraiya charges forward. This way you get to keep your image, the village feels good about themselves, and you still have your weapon, right? That's all he is to you, a weapon, I bet. No. The old Hokage murmurs, sagging into his chair and showing his true age. I love Naruto like my own grandson, even if my feelings must be pushed down for the sake of the village at times. But this decision of mine, it's more for his safety than anything. Explain. Jiraiya grinds out, not believing putting a child in such a position to be for his safety. Naruto was always treated poorly, as you know. What Sarutobi didn't say was that Naruto's treatment was absolutely horrendous and led to multiple hospital visits for broken bones and other injuries, and that the only people he hung out with were almost twice his age. Jinchurika's status is supposed to be a secret, but Naruto's isn't, making him both a security risk and a target. In addition, Danzo is always plotting to take him into his disbanded route. What kind of childhood is that? In Umbu he would be hidden completely, have me and my most loyal men who oftentimes protected him as a small child and hold no ill will towards him and won't be sent on dangerous missions until I deem him ready. You could even see him if you like. To take away his childhood, though. As much as I like to delude myself, Naruto hasn't been a child in years. If your report is correct he's more than likely been training this whole time and doing God knows what. Sarutobi sighs when Jiraiya nods unceasingly, knowing he was right. Soon Jiraiya leaves, through the door, without making even one perverted joke. The thought brings unease to the aged Hokage. Jiraiya had a new mission. He knew he couldn't take on Danzo, but giving his godson to the wolves of that squad wasn't happening. No, instead he was going to find Naruto, train him, and then have him make a very public reappearance to ensure he could become a normal shinobi, not a personal weapon to anyone. With Sarutobi. Do you understand your mission? It's a long-term S rank. Nobody must know about this. The Hokage was sitting at his desk, face stony. He knew his foolish student would keep Naruto from him when he found him again. Normally he would let it be, but right before his student visited he read a troubling report. War with IWA was being threatened within the next few years. The village had to have a Jinchuriki, or else they would be crushed as IWA had too. After explaining the situation to his most prized and hidden men, they nodded. Yes, Hokage-sama. We are to track down and capture Naruto Uzumaki, henceforth to be known as his future undercover name, Kitsune, and bring him back unharmed. The leader, Okamai, was his best tracker and had been serving in Alpha for the last decade. He had watched Naruto and when he disappeared and managed to throw Okamai off his trail, he became impressed and had petitioned the Hokage to train him for Umbu even before the Hokage considered it. Okamai looked at his 4 squad members, the tracking specialists of Alpha, and gave his orders. All right, let's bring our new member home. After they left, Hiruzen and Sarutobi seemed to age 10 years. Forgive me, Naruto, Kushina, Minato. With Naruto, 3 days later. 3 days of catching Yagura's men in traps and finishing them off while in a constant mist was not my idea of a good time. So much death, but May sent a messenger letting us know they should reach Yagura by the end of the day and are ordered to rest. Finally, I sigh in relief, sitting in a tree within the area our forces had captured. Zabuza sat above me while Haku and Shiro were below. I had Ryu and all the foxes I could summon helping Angel out. That force needed more help than us. All of us nursed wounds, though most of mine were rapidly healing. Looking down, I see Haku holding glowing hands to Shiro's side. Shiro, are you sure you're alright? I look away in guilt. He had gotten hit by a Jonin's water dragon jutsu a few hours ago when I relaxed, thinking all the enemies were gone. The Jonin had masked his chakra completely and Shiro noticed the dragon made of water rushing towards me. He dashed over and barreled us both out of the deadly jutsu's path, but not before getting hit on the side. A dark purple bruise and small, jagged cut, now covered the area. Of course, shrimp. Nothing can keep me down, especially not a tiny bruise, he boasted. I noticed the slight tensing of Haku's jaw but couldn't decide what it meant. If I hadn't let my guard down, it's my fault. No. It's fine dash. Yeah, it's all your fault, Kaki, Zabuza drawled, drawing Shiro's glare in Haku's face palm. Senpai, it's not his fault, he's only dash. A solider and comrade who can take out Jonin just like the rest of us. He shouldn't have let his guard down, especially since no matter his skill, his size means one solid hit is an instant kill shot. Zabuza matches Shiro's glare with a raised eyebrow. I sink, knowing he's right. What will you do now? I look at him in surprise, though my mask hides it. Will you learn from this and become stronger, or will you mope around and end up causing another accident? He points his sword down at me, almost like a challenge. I pause for a moment. I won't make that same mistake anymore, I say with newfound determination. I won't make Shiro or anyone else save me because of my own arrogance. Zabuza smirks under his mask and Haku smiles while Shiro grabs my foot and yanks me down. Ouch. I say as land roughly on the branch. He ignores me and gives me a nudgie. That's my favorite shrimp. Depression doesn't look good on you. He ruffles my hood, and I blush slightly, remembering how Shisui and I would do the same thing. My stomach growls suddenly and everyone else's follows suit. Ugh, another ration bar. Shiro grumbles and moves for his pack. Since you saved me, I will honor you with God's gift to man. Here is a limited edition pork and ginger ramen sama. Eat it and be enlightened. I say seriously, and the ramen cup seems to glow in a heavenly light. He's lost it, Haku. Without a doubt. Zabuza. Ramen sama? Why does it feel like you're asking me to join a cult? Shiro wearily pokes at the glowing cup. I ignore him and use some stored water and an extremely small fire jutsu to make the ramen for him, passing it with both hands. Now eat and be enlightened. They say flesh bags cope with trauma in different ways and your family has always used ramen as an escape, but this is too much. I demand an intervention, you need help. Oh, shut up and don't mock ramen-sama. I honestly am surprised ramen wasn't some kind of religion for Naruto in the series. 20 cups of miso ramen later and I'm ready to go, ignoring the varying looks of shock and disgust from the others. Where does it all go? Haku questions, poking my stomach. I'm about to answer but feel the pull of the kunao I sent with Mei, its stronger sealing array pulsing in my mind more than the others. Showtime, Shiro. Have fun, guys. I grab Shiro, who yells in protest, and use the Hirishin. Finding ourselves next to Mei, Ao, won the Mizukage Tower rooftop as she stares down Yagura, who stares impassively as his men lay dead at his feet. My stomach falls in nerves. He looks really young to be the Mizukage, I note, trying to hide my own insecurities. Mei shoots me a look. Not now, Kitsune, we can discuss what a cage should look like late. Do your part while we distract him. Her harsh whisper causes me to flinch. Yes, Lady Mei. I jump back several paces and start unrolling my scroll. In order to seal off both sets of chakra and kill both the host and the Biju, who would reform in a decade or so, I could technically just use some Biju sealing tags coupled with some high-level suppression seals. But I didn't want to kill Isabu, the demon inside. Instead I rigged an extremely complex teleportation array that would send the Three Tails to a cave about 200 miles away where he could hide out for a while. Nobody would guess that he wasn't just waiting to reform and be Reseo-led. I feel bad for this deception. If it doesn't work they could die. Don't feel bad, Kit. It will work. That Mei is cage level and those two other flesh bags are not pushovers either. Besides, does Isabu deserve to be recaptured? No, you're right. This is the right thing to do. The problem with this array is that the bulk of the work must be made right before setting it off. After finishing the last kanji I would transfer the array to 6 blank kunao that would create a force field around Yagura, not allowing him to use chakra or leave the barrier. Until then, though, the others had a massive fight. Just hold on for 40 seconds, guys. I murmur. Battle against Yagura. Give it up, Yagura. Your bloody mist dies today and a new era begins. Mei calls out as Naruto jumped back to begin his part. She knew she had to keep the attention off him as long as possible. Yagura's dull eyes meet hers. He's clearly deep in the genjutsu. Ao and Shiro jumped forward, with Ao blocking Yagura as he pulled out his staff. The objective was to hold off the Jinchuriki from using his ninjutsu or tailed beast powers for as long as possible. The two meet, Ao's Byakugan blazing. Well, I see that you traitor have implanted a vile dojutsu in. Where's your pride as a mist ninja? Yagura growls as he pushes Ao back. Some would say your Biju acts much like a bloodline limit, asshole. Ao shoots back. Just then Yagura jumps back to avoid a lightning bolt from Shiro's blade. Lightning style, electromagnetic murder. Shiro calls out soon after. Yagura counters with a water element mirror and kicks Shiro away, only to be forced to dodge a kick from Ao aimed for his head. Mei appears above him and uses boil release to shoot a torrent of boiling water and air straight for his head, Ao, and Shiro who had jumped back in close somersaulting several feet away. Wincing Shiro holds his side but readies his blade for another attack. Another mirror is called forth from Yagura to protect him. This pathetic display won't be enough to even make me use my Biju. He taunts, the scar under his eye squinting up as his face twists into a sneer. Mei growls and nods to Shiro, both of them running through the same hand signs. Twin cries of electromagnetic murder cause powerful bursts of lightning to shoot from their hands towards the nearby Yagura. Mei's hit, but the eruption of his Biju cloak stops any damage. Not good. Both say. Yagura lets off a roar and using his staff he sends a barrage of water spikes towards the only one not fighting, Naruto. Think I wouldn't know your plan. I won't let you seal my chakra. He yells in a demonic voice, his features becoming more feral. The spikes speed straight towards Naruto, who can't move without stopping the sealing. Just as it is reaching him, Ao who stayed ready throughout the fight to protect Naruto calls forth a vortex of roaring water that absorbs the spikes. Back with Naruto. Just as Ao's vortex stops me from being impaled or starting over my brush completes the final stroke. Rushing through 10 hand signs the array that made a convoluted figure 8 pattern on the scroll snaked around 6 kunao. I jump up and 5 shadow clones follow as I dash past Ao to make the needed 6-pointed figure of kunao. Oh no you don't. Yagura summons a massive water dragon that roars at the first clone as it works on dropping it in the position. Shiro cuts the dragon in half with a bolt of lighting and Ao manages to hit Yagura in the leg, stopping a pressure point and dampening his dodging ability. Evading Yagura's mirrors and water ninjutsu I plop down the last kunao. Mei and the others jump out of the figure, but before I can activate the barrier using the snake monkey boar sequence Yagura, with 2 tails and chakra claws races towards me in an attempt to stop it. Rushing I stare wide-eyed as the vile chakra almost hits me. But instead I see a back. Shiro's back, to be precise, with Yagura's hand sticking through his chest. He grabs Yagura's hand and stares down the Jinchuriki's enraged eyes. Now. I finish and the barrier grows erupts. Yagura's and Shiro's since he was in there when it activated is completely sealed up. Both collapsed to the ground, and Yagura blinks before smiling at Shiro. Shiro grins at him back before grabbing one sword. Thank you Yagura whispers, just waking from the genjutsu. Shiro nods before shoving a quick thrust through the throat Yagura, killing him. I let the barrier fall and a burst of Biju chakra flows out. Everyone assumes Isabu just died and would reform, but he was currently far away, no doubt with a headache after being in a genjutsu for the past decade or so. I smile until Shiro coughs violently, blood spraying everywhere. Shiro. I rush to his side as he hunches over Yagura's corpse, hand still clutching the one stuck through him. Hey squirt, he bites out painfully. By this time Mei and Ao are over by us, Mei looking solemn and Ao having a blank expression, hiding his emotions. I heard once from my old captain that the true measure of a shinobi is not how they live, but how they die. And not many can say their death stopped a civil war. I nod at him. I try to turn away from his dying form, not wanting to see somebody I've grown close to die. Don't disrespect him by turning. Kurama rebukes me harshly. I cringe but keep looking at Shiro through my mask. Your death is very heroic. Your awesomeness will go down in history, I joke morbidly. He laughs weakly, before looking straight at me as his eyes start to dull. See, can I see the face of T, the one W whose awesomeness will go down in H history with mine, Kitsune. I silently slide off my mask and hood, my blue eyes matching his brown. It's Naruto, Naruto Uzumaki. Shiro lets out one last grin, before releasing his final breath. I lean him back and pull out Yagura's fist. Closing his eyes I whisper, "Goodbye, brother." Ao and Mei put their hands on my shoulders as I become a 10-year-old kid and cry. Rain poured out upon the rooftop, trails of blood flowing off everyone as the era of the bloody mist washes away. 2 weeks later. It took several days to clear out the die-hard Yagura supporters, the rest falling into line with Mei's new rule. Now Sai and I stand over the grave I dug for Shiro after his little brother said his goodbyes and left. Our masks are off as we are the only ones here, and Sai has his arm in a cast and multiple bandages covering his body. He looks at the graves throughout the makeshift cemetery impassively, but I could see the emotions in his eyes. Years being away from Root made blocking his emotions completely impossible. All of them died gladly for their freedom, but if they aren't here to see it themselves, what's the point? Sai's hand clenches and a single tear drips down his face. Why do they leave us, while we feel guilty for their dreams dying? Why did he leave me and make me feel guilty as I am now here and he's in a grave to be forgotten? This is about Shin, right? I remembered Sai talking about his brother and how he died a couple of times, but I had never seen such displays of emotion on him. He left me. We dreamed of escaping together, of being free. But he died for me and I couldn't do anything. I wanted to say something, anything. But I realized my emotions and thoughts were the same as his, and I was crying too. So instead of a lie or pep talk, I used empathy. I understand how you feel. He looks towards me. They died, and no matter what they did in life, their death left the most impact on us. Shiro told me that it's not how a shinobi lives but how they die that shows their true measure. Based on what I know, Shin and Shiro were the best shinobi I know, dying for the sake of others. Sai stares for a minute before giving a small smile and drying his tears. They were, weren't they? Next week. The mist owes you both a lot. Mei says in her new office after being inaugurated. We stand in her office, ready to go after finishing healing. Angel lets out a meow. Oh, an angel, of course. Angel purrs and jumps onto my hood, her paws draping over my mask. It was our honor, Mizukage-sama, to help your country gain its freedom, I say, and both Sai and I nod. Are you sure you don't want to stay? I could use more ninjas like you too. I shake my head at the offer. Mei had been pestering us about staying, but I knew Mist was not our home. I'm sorry, Mizukage-sama, but we wish to return to the Leaf one day, and being Mist ninjas would hamper that. Plus, with my status and abilities, allowing me to stay here would no doubt put a strain on relations between Mist and the other nations. Sai, I know you're right. Before you leave, though, I have some presents for you three. She smiles and passes us each packages. We bow in thanks. For you, Angel, we had a chakra-infused necklace made that will grow with you. The symbol means, friends with the mist. Angel purrs as I put the necklace on, its chain surprisingly strong. For you, Sai, your medic teacher has left scrolls on both intermediate medic jutsu and genjutsu. Sai bows to Mei and slips the 5 thick scrolls into a storage scroll and hides it in his bag. And for Naruto, the mist has trained 4 Jinchuriki in the past to use their Biju powers to their fullest potential. Here I have a scroll describing the complete history and training methods of it, as well as directions to the place the Hakusabi Jinchuriki gained complete control over his. One of Yagura's spies a few years ago managed to steal the information, and I think you would benefit from this. Both Kurama and I are slack-jawed. Mizukage-sama, are you sure you want to give a foreign ninja this information? What I see it as helping a friend, hero, and future fellow Kage. Think of it as helping future alliances. But I have no desire to be Hokage. My dream is to bring peace to Konoha and always protect it, I say. And go back to live with my precious people, before seeing Konohamaru become Hokage. I add mentally, the first being the secret, selfish dream I had, the reason I really didn't just turn myself in and pretend to be dead to the villagers. Mei grins widely. And that is precisely why you will make an excellent Hokage one day. She says. Now go. I have a boat waiting on the border to take you back to the mainland. It will provide a record of you leaving. Using your magic teleportation jutsu is effective, but flashy, and somewhat obvious. She teases. We bow one last time. On our way out she calls. Oh, and be wary. There is a group of Konoha shinobi arriving today to sign the peace treaty. If you run into them, be sure to be on guard. I nod in thanks as we head out. As we head out the gates, my breath hitches slightly. Walking up towards the mist village is none other than the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, and 7 Umbu, including my dad's old student Kakashi. I tried to become friendly with the man after I read about him in my dad's journals, pretending it was just because his hair fascinated me. But every time I tried he would act like I was a reminder of everything he lost, which, I guess I was, and would leave without saying anything. I eventually gave up on the one who was supposed to be like a sibling. Sai slightly tenses as well. I quickly sign us out with the guards and use low-level masking jutsu that changes your scent. The foxes taught it to me, and at the time I questioned its usefulness, seeing as it took 3 days to learn and it was so slight that it could possibly be detected. Now I was thanking them with all my might. Have a safe journey and come again, Kitsune-sama, Kimono-sama, Lady Angel. We give stiff confirmations and walk towards the group. My heart races as we pass the group, and the man I thought of as a grandfather looked over me. Oh, how I wanted to race over and hug him. But there were too many things I had to do before then, and Kurama pulled his chakra in further to prevent being detected. As we completely pass them and get out of sight, I breathe easier. Let's get to the coast quickly, just in case, I order, and we dash away through the thin morning mist. With Sarutobi. Hiruzen Sarutobi was intrigued by the trio who passed him with their masks, one of them being a kitsune mask. It reminded him of Naruto, and the height made it even more so. Approaching the guards, his men sort out the paperwork. He had decided to come himself to sign the treaty, as a way to spy on how the village was recovering. Excuse me, he asked one of the guards, but who were those travelers? They seemed awfully young. Were they ninjas from here? Oh, you mean Kitsune-sama and Kimono-sama? No, they are mercenaries and heroes of the mist. Kimono-sama healed many on the battlefield and fought off dozens of Yagura's men. And Kitsune-sama, where do I begin? He is said to have been the one to seal away Yagura's chakra and help deliver the final blow. But before that he helped take out the 4 towers with his weird explosive tags, and then went on to help the Western Front Umbushis. Oh ho, so I take it he is proficient at Fuinjutsu. Hiruzen Sarutobi's mind is making connections. Konoha needed more people proficient at sealing, and both seemed skilled in other areas as well. The other guard snorted at the Hokage's question. Proficient? Mizukage-sama confirmed he's at master level now, and that he's under 12. He made us most of the seal tags we used for the war, including poison and teleportation tags. At this the Hokage was very intrigued. Boar, dog, cat. I want you to go and catch up to our young friends and tell them I wish for a meeting with them. Only use force if necessary, have them be comfortable on our ship. He ordered quietly. They nodded and took off. As he walked towards the meeting, the third Hokage was excited. By the week's end he would have 2 brilliant young shinobi, one of which could use Fuinjutsu better than he could. Even if it required some persuasion. He was confident in his chosen Umbu. One was one of his alpha squad, another the famous Kopinen, and the last could use Mokyudan to siphon their chakra away if need be. It was a good day to be Hokage. With Naruto and Sai, 30 minutes later. We were nearing the coast when Sai sensed a faint flicker of chakra right before 3 of the Umbu dropped down in front of us. Not good. I want to ask Kurama what to do, but he still had his chakra pulled in and the connection was broken as a result. Are you the ones known as Kitsune and Kimono? The boar-masked one asked. As he looked at the 2 young boys, the irony of the kid having the name the kid his captain was supposed to search for was going to get was not lost on him. And they were even the same age roughly, adding to the irony. Yes, Umbu-sans. How may we assist you? I spoke formally, trying to hide my panic. The cat Umbu answered. We need you come with us. The Hokage would like to discuss hiring your services. Sai interjects. I am sorry, but we have another job we must be heading to. Perhaps another time. We are ordered to escort you, by force if necessary, Kakashi says, his Sharingan eye shining through his mask. Everyone tenses, ready for a fight. I knew I couldn't summon foxes because Jiraiya knew and no doubt told the Hokage. I didn't have enough time to use ninjutsu or fuinjutsu with Sharingan Kakashi around, and we would surely lose. I didn't want to harm any Konoha ninja. Concentrating as the stare-off continued after they left the threat hanging, I managed to find my Kunao on the mainland. Using that Hirishin for that distance with 3 bodies was risky at my level, but I had no choice. Will you come peacefully? Kakashi asks again. I would, but there's no way you could catch me. And with that, I grab Sai just as the 3 converge. In a flash later we're gone, appearing on the mainland docks in an abandoned warehouse. With Kakashi. Kakashi never thought he would see that again. Sensei, he muttered. But how did someone not even from Konoha learn his sensei's most prized technique? We have to get to the Hokage and tell him this. There appears to be another Hirishin user. Kakashi closes his Sharingan and the 3 take off. With the Hokage and Mizukage. As the Hokage exchanged pleasantries with his fellow Kage before the official meetings started the next day, his 3 Umbu appeared. Dog leaned down and whispered something in his ear that made his face white. The Mizukage looked at him curiously. Is something wrong, Hokage Dano? She asked as she sipped her tea. Why didn't you inform me the mercenaries you employed could use Hirishin, a jutsu known only to the 4th Hokage? Everyone tensed in the room, and Mei silently cursed. It was none of your concern how I used the men I hire, and frankly it was part of the deal that I didn't reveal. He knows it. How did your men come to find this out, Hokage Dano? Kitsune doesn't use it around people unless necessary. I simply had my men request a meeting and he fled, the Hokage said smoothly. Mei and her men bristled at that. You mean your men were to capture them if they refused to go willingly? She bit out. Both sides tensed. You see, having such young talent would be a boon for any village. I'm surprised you didn't try and make them become mist ninjas. The Hokage sent back, slightly annoyed. It was the way of the ninja. And besides, the 2 mercenaries would eventually join a village, so why not his? We in the mist know what it is like to lose your freedom, and those 2 are some of our greatest heroes. There is no way I would take away the freedom of 2 of our greatest heroes. And seeing as we are here for peace talks, let us drop these troubling clash of ideals. The Hokage nodded, still miffed but knowing he needed to bide his time. Perhaps he could use the new alliance as a way to gain information on the 2. Very well, but do they have other identities besides Kitsune and Kimono? Yes, they call themselves the Guardians, and generally take out missing ninja and aid in rebellions like here. The Guardians, huh. He would have to add them to the bingo book. With Itaki and Kano Amaru. Again, Itaki ordered as Kano Amaru tried unsuccessfully to hit all 10 targets while running. Itaki didn't understand how both Sasuke and Kano Amaru could have trouble with this exercise. Naruto had gotten it by the first day and was younger while Kano Amaru had been trying for 5 days. It befuddled him. Just as he was about to correct the boy again as he lost his temper and thus failed, a messenger from the clan dropped down in a kneeling position. Itaki-sama, you must come quick, he said. There's been another death in the Elder Council, the 3rd one on as many months. An emergency meeting has been called. Itaki nods and the messenger leaves. By now the poison was slowly picking off the elders and nobody could find signs of sabotage, as all died from seemingly natural causes. Now it was time for him to go to another meeting about it and sit stoically while plotting how to make the Pocky budget larger. With Naruto, Sai, and Angel, desert and land of wind. Ugh. I swear on Ramen-sama that hell is an oasis compared to this. I grumble as we trek through the desert in search of the hidden sand village. Oi. If you're going to call something you eat Sama, then I demand you call me Kurama the Great TM. I ignore Kurama's continuing rant in favor of cursing the transport seal I made that led to this mess. In his last letter Shisui had mentioned his Umbu buddies discussing the fact that Suna had an ultimate weapon that was defective. He dug deeper and uncovered it was an unstable Jinjuriki, the one-tailed Shukaku to be precise, and that his seal was weak. Kurama demanded that we go kick my little brother's ass across his personal sandbox and then beat the crazy out of him and then fix the seal, the last part being said offhandedly. That was barely a week ago and I had wanted to stop and let us train in the plateaus in the land of Earth for a month to throw Konoha off our trail as well as set some new tags and train in Kyubi Chakra. But then, Itaki. Flashback. I had just finished reading Shisui's letter as they eat in a small tea shop in the land of rice after avoiding the land of fire's borders. We both had their masks off. The chance of being discovered was laughable as no one was looking for Uzumaki Naruto or Sai now, just Kitsune and Kimono. Sai, I think we'll go to Suna to help a fellow Jinjuriki next after our trail grows cold and we train in Earth. I need to work on harnessing Kurama's chakra better. According to the notes, my body can't handle going through the temple on the island until I'm 12, possibly 14. Until then I should be able to learn how to manipulate the chakra tails and maybe even gain the third tail. You could learn earth manipulation there as well, since your affinities are apparently a strong earth and very weak water. I say. Sai nods, looking forward to the training. As root he had learned many jutsus to help his missions, but hadn't learned many elemental jutsu. In fact, Sai only knew a small water jutsu and a small fire jutsu that left him drained. Another letter pops out, and it's from Itake. I read it, and when his letter doesn't even bother using the HNs I know it's serious. Soon to be dead little brother if you disobey. Suna has a new watermelon Pocky flavor for a limited time. You will go there and use the allotted amount from the Uchiha treasury to purchase my Pocky-sama. Failure to do so or if Pocky-sama is damaged would result in your favorite ramen stand being missing when you get back. Itake. Sai reads it quickly after seeing my ashen face. Does Itake-san not realize he just admitted to committing theft of the Uchiha treasury and threatened a Konoha business? Sai over the letter at me, confused. The Uchiha Council will be dead within the year and unfortunately he has ways of making even a public business disappear without linking to him. I assume then that we are going to Suna, then. As fast as our legs will carry us. Waiter, our bill please. Flashback, end. Don't worry, we should reach Suna in 5 days from now at our current pace. It would be unwise to attempt to go quicker and risk dehydration and heat exhaustion. Sai has a desert outfit on that we both bought in an outpost consisting of a tan head wrap, desert cloak, and loose mask. To complete his look Angel sat panting on his head. Even with the added protection I can almost hear his skin sizzling. Despite this, Sai is the picture of cool. How does he look so calm while literally cooking? Yeah, I know. I just hope we threw off our trail well enough. With Alpha. Okamai would be jumping up and down in victory if he wasn't as well trained as he was. They were in the land of rice and heard an interesting story of 2 boys, one blonde hair, blue-eyed with whiskers had stopped at a tea shop and complained quite loudly how they had to go to Suna to get the bastard's Pocky-sama or God's gift to man was in danger. Okamai and his squad left, knowing they could reach Suna in about 3.5 days. Knowing Naruto as Okamai did as one of his old bodyguards from time to time, he was doing this to protect his ramen, and would race off at a breakneck pace, causing a trail to be left. With some sniffing he finds this is indeed the case. However, being so young the two would take about 5 days to get there, allowing the Umbu to catch up. Signing the information his squad speeds towards their target and supposedly future comrade. When you're on my squad, Uzumaki Naruto, I'll have to beat that obsession out of you to prevent mistakes like this. He chuckled. Okamai was looking forward to bringing Naruto back to Konoha. He had been petitioning for years to be able to train the kid after he managed to pickpocket one of his squad at 5 and managed to get away. If the report that he had been training since he left, and there was that much raw talent before, well, no one could fault the feral grin on the powerful ninja's face. Back with Naruto. I shiver uncontrollably in the heat. I feel someone is threatening my love of ramen-sama. His obsession grows worse. Perhaps having a genjutsu placed on him to hate eating ramen? No, that only worked for stopping him from enjoying orange because he was so young. Why can't I have normal hosts? And a poor Biju spends the rest of the day lamenting his lot in life. With Ren. Ren was cursing Naruto inside her mind. First she had to go through the mental torture to rid her of her emotions. That wasn't too bad, she enjoyed the challenge, and loved screaming on the inside while being a blank slate in front of Danzo-sama. She hated the man he reminded her of Orochimaru, and the fact that he had taken a special interest in her because of her Fuinjutsu and Mokyudan sent chills down her spine. Though she did enjoy imagining different ways to kill the man using the techniques he taught her. That was the upside to this impossible mission, she learned so many more techniques to enhance her skills even if she didn't show her poison prowess off that it almost made it worth it. Almost. This was too much, though. She had discreetly started recruiting the slightly older children to the cause after slapping them with the information protection seals from Naruto that would prevent them from spilling about anything related to D-Day, the day Danzo died, and was having them lead the younger ones without the adults knowing. It was surprisingly unchallenging simply because Danzo trusted his loyalty seals too much and the adults were too emotionless to actually work out the hidden dissent growing. But just because she helped them, doesn't mean she would be partners with them. She didn't work well with humans, she was barely one herself and preferred animal partners. Sai and Naruto were the exception, with Zabuza and Haku barely making the cut. So being assigned by Danzo-sama a partner, an actual 5.5-year-old girl to train with, was infuriating. Especially since she knew he planned on having Ren kill the child to become a full member. She also knew the test was scheduled for 2 months' time, long before they would be ready to assassinate Danzo. Ren knew she would have to kill the scared brown-haired, brown-eyed girl sitting next to her in their dorm room, because it was impossible to convert the rest of the children en route to take out the adults and Danzo in a mere 8 weeks. Ren sighed and then smiled slightly at the girl Hikari she was called, startling her after seeing everyone else without any expressions. Ren knew it was impossible. But for the sake of Hikari, Ren Uzumaki would delete impossible from her vocabulary. Naruto would just have to deal. Ren-senpai, why are you grinning like that? Hikari was an orphan who had been picked by Danzo-sama last year to join Root. She was grateful to the man, even if he was scary, and had even gotten used to the blank looks from the older kids. But the look her senpai gave her made Danzo seem like a saint in comparison, and Hikari promised herself to never cross her. Ren looked at the girl. She needed a minion anyway. Angel was too headstrong, the Fox clan members were too scared to do missions with her without Ryu, and the other Root agents were too old/boring. Plus, Hikari was supposed to be close to her. Making her decision, Ren smirks at the child. Oh, no reason, Hikari-chan. Just know you're my minion and not Danzo's and we'll get along great, okay? Hikari nodded fearfully. Why did she get stuck with the one person crazier than her leader? Oh, of course, Ren-sama. Can I touch your ears? Hikari looked up at Ren hopefully. Ren would have given in. She did enjoy a good head pet from time to time, not that she would ever admit it, but she had an image to maintain. No. Touch the ears and hell will be a vacation. Why yes, Ren-sama. Back with Naruto and Sai, one day out. Currently we were sitting across from each other, Sai staring into my eyes as Angel ate some scorpions she caught. Tensions could be felt thick in the air. You didn't kill Isabu. Sai finally breaks the silence after I explained that the Three Tails was currently chilling inside an underwater cave 200 miles from human civilization. No. As I explained, Kurama had me link a teleportation seal to one of Isabu's dwellings that the sage had set up hundreds of years ago. Isabu talked briefly with Kurama beforehand and knows to stay hidden for a few decades. It solves our Akatsuki problem and keeps the mist from having 2 Jinchuriki while Konoha has 1. But, you essentially stole an ally's weapon. It may take a decade to realize that their Biju hasn't reformed nearby, but what will happen when they do? I glare at Sai for his terminology, but no, he's right, most viewed Biju and Jinchuriki as weapons. Simple. Play dumb, act like the Biju just managed to reform somewhere else and let them search for Isabu. They'll never find him. Right, Teiko, Sai deadpants, slipping into formalities. The Akatsuki could still find him, however. What will we do if that happens? I have no clue. I laugh and shrug, pointedly ignoring Sai's dropped jaw that instantly vanished to nothingness again. Brilliant plan, Teiko. Your genius knows no bounds. This causes Kurama, Angel, and I to freeze, Angel dropping her scorpion and me pausing and making ramen. Did you just use sarcasm? I say in disbelief. Check for genjutsu. Without complaint I try to dispel whatever genjutsu was affecting my friend in looking for transformations, but found none. I couldn't even sense anybody nearby, and it would take Umbu level to sneak up on me in this terrain. Slightly unnerved that the one sitting in front of me was in fact my best friend, I relax. So, since when could you use sarcasm? I ask, Angel nodding along and looking at him intently. Sai whips out a blue book faster than my Hirishin. Ren let me borrow this book from her personal collection on using sarcasm and insults to bring comrades closer together. She suggested I test it on you, Teiko, and that it would help us become as close as you and she are. Sai starts thumbing through, no doubt to study more ways to mess with me, all because Ren tricked him. I blink once, then twice. And snatch the book away before ripping it up and tossing it in the air, sending the largest fireball I can at it. I can't handle having another Ren. If you're going to read, then read about puppies or cooking, not ways to drive me insane. I'm going to bed, we have to sneak into Suna tomorrow, subdue an angry Jinchuriki, and fix his seal. I say tiredly before stalking over to my sleeping bag, Angel following, letting Sai take first watch. As I pull the covers over me, Kurama brings to my attention a fact that guaranteed nightmares. You do realize you just destroyed a book from, I quote, Ren's personal collection. I can't wait to see you try to explain that. Behind the nearest sand dune, covered with masking jutsu and sand, Okamai couldn't help but sweat drop at his target's overzealous reaction to the obviously emotionally stunted boy's choice in literature. Neither could his squad. They had arrived just as the black-haired one used sarcasm and Naruto checked for genjutsu, much to the Umbu's amusement. They could tell Naruto continuously checked for intruders using his chakra, a rather advanced skill for someone his age. If it were anyone else spying on them he would have noticed. What confused Okamai though was Naruto's plan for the next day. Sneaking into Suna he could believe, Naruto was a trap and escape artist, and his age made him not suspicious to most ninjas. But the part of subduing Gaara, the known Shukaku Jinchuriki and then altering his seal should be impossible. Adult ninjas would have trouble with taking on a Jinchuriki, and the level of mastery of seals to alter one without killing the host was prodigy level. Even if Naruto was an Uzumaki, that's when his gaze landed on the cat. An intelligent-looking cat no doubt, but Okamai was prepared to dismiss it as just a pet. But then the report from the Hokage about looking out for a young seal master with a traveling companion and black cat that could alter its size. His name, Kitsune. Okamai grinned as the cat suddenly shifted into the size of a horse, causing Naruto to yelp in surprise. His young friend was certainly interesting. Now all they needed was to subdue and capture the three. With Sai, after midnight. Night watch was a necessary evil, in Sai's opinion. As he sat there sketching his friend Naruto, yes, he could safely call the blonde a friend after all they went through pinned to the ground with a drooling angel, his instincts kicked in. Intruders. He couldn't be sure, but the faint flickering of chakra caused his eyes to sharpen. Where was it? East? West? No, and not in front. Behind. He realized his mistake as a hand covers his mouth and pins a chakra suppression seal to the back of his neck. Sai reached for his tanto by his side as he felt his chakra drain away. Just as his fingers grasped the handle a needle jabs his shoulder. His eyes fading he sees three Umbu in front of him. With Okamai. The black-haired boy had been easy, he was too busy drawing a picture to notice. Okamai was going to wait until Naruto's watch to snag all three, but the report from the Hokage mentioned he knew Ink Ninjutsu. He couldn't risk the kid actually preparing a jutsu, and their plans changed. Now, Okamai had to figure out how to get the kid out from under the cat. He wasn't stupid, the cat sprawled all over Naruto was a type of demon cat, and could grow to the size of a house. Not who he wanted to mess with. They needed to take the two boys out before subduing the cat. Leaving it alone was impossible as this type of hellcat would track them down across the continent, going on a rampage the whole time. No, he needed to take out Naruto then quickly contain the beast. Which is why Okamai became Sai, and would lead the kid away. Hey, Naruto. It's time for your watch. Sai said, shaking the boy awake. With Naruto. I was instantly on guard when I heard Sai's voice. He knew the protocol for waking each other up. I would hold a Rasengan above his head, Angel would plop down after shifting sizes, and Sai would send ink mice. It had been the norm for so long I knew he wouldn't forget. Meaning this wasn't Sai. I sense more chakra in him than the pale one has. It's faint because he's suppressing it, but since he's hiding in a transformation, I can sense it. Kurama growled. I send a chakra pulse to Angel through her necklace, hiding it as making a shadow clone that was actually two instantly transforming into mice to replace with intruders. Strong. Pretend sleep. I follow Sai to the campfire and sit down across from him. How was your watch, any problems? I inquire, fishing for information as one of the shadow clones I made became a scorpion and was searching the area for Sai. There. It dispelled about 500 feet way behind the sand dunes. Sai was tied up with chakra suppression seals and unconscience. The perpetrators, Umbu? Okay, now I was confused. His Jiji didn't want anyone to know he was alive because if he returned he was to be put in Alpha. My heart quickens as it puts the pieces together. Alpha was here, as they would be the ones he would be working with. For some reason the Hokage became less apathetic of my disappearance. No problems to report. Sai said. Okamai was nervous. Here was a now 10-year-old whose sharp blue eyes when he woke him up chilled him to the bone. It was as if he could tell his comrade was an imposter, but that was silly. Now, though, as he sat across the fire kept burning by a chakra-infused log, Okamai was certain the kid knew he was a fake. This was bad. His men were in position now, yes, but not to take out the cat in a Jinchuriki who knew Hirishin if the rumors were to be believed. If necessary. But they had checked his companion for the famed Konoha. There was no way he could attach just the seals and found none. Naruto wouldn't leave his companion, it wasn't his way, so Okamai knew he could lure the brat into a corner. He just needed to play this right. He gave the signal and one of his men created a rustle, alerting to danger. What was that? Sai asked, pulling out a shuriken. I don't know. Should we check it out? I ask, and he nods as we shuffle towards the sound, towards his squad. I gaze in hidden amusement as I follow. The imposter was good, I'll give them that. But they made a big mistake, if they thought they could catch us. The second of the two hidden clones just dispelled after taking a Hirishin tag 3 miles away towards Suna. Perfect. You know, Umbu-san, I say lightly, causing the fake Sai to stiffen as well as his hidden allies. If you wanted to catch me, you made 3 mistakes. I'm surrounded by the group. All prepared with their attacks. Sai smirks before transforming into an Umbu with a familiar mask on. Okamai, I say, blinking in surprise. I recognized him from a few pranks in my younger days. Hello, again. By orders of the Hokage you are to come back to Konoha with us. He says as the Umbu tense. I giggle slightly. First mistake. You took out Sai before me. Second, you didn't know our procedures. And third. I pause for dramatic effect. I can be anywhere instantly. They attack, and Okamai almost nabs me, but I Hirishin over to Sai using a pendant with the seal on it attached to his belt. Next I appear by Angel using a seal in her necklace before we all appear next to the marker far away. My clone under Angel stayed behind for a message. Okamai, boss has a message for you, the clone said, waving to the clearly annoyed Umbu who were so used to always being the best. He said that if you want to catch him then you need to plan like a civilian could beat a cage. Keep acting so stiff and you'll never catch him. And with a poof, the clone disperses leaving behind an embarrassed Umbu squad. How the hell did a 10-year-old outsmart us with such a simple tactic? One Umbu asked in disbelief. They were arrogant, and it cost them. Oh make, Itake's agenda. Itake Uchiha sat in the council room of the Uchihas. The elder finally kicked the bucket, allowing for the heir to gain an actual seat and not just sit in. Clutched in the prodigy's hands were the papers to his greatest masterpiece. He had spent weeks preparing for this moment, the moment his dreams were going to start becoming a reality. Itake, do you have anything you wish to add for your first council meeting? Perhaps a few words over what your political agenda will be. An extremely wrinkled elder said, his eyes boring into Itake's. He stands up, clearing his throat. My fellow Uchihas. Today I come to you all with a way to bring the Uchiha clan to a new era. I have heard, and seen, that our clan is declining in power. I have a way to fix that. And with that all the council members perked up. Perhaps their genius heir had an idea to make the Uchihas great again? To maybe even overthrow Konoha? For the next hour they listened to Itake. He danced around what could possibly bring them greatness, talking instead of how following his lead on this would lead the Uchihas to respect. Finally he reached the last page, page 69. And thus, I move to have the Uchihas opening a factory dedicated to creating Paki-sama. Itake's eyes had fires of passion as he sat down. The council sweat dropped. Never had the Uchiha obsession been so great. In the shadows, Shisui face palmed at his cousin's one-track mind. Even he believed Itake was starting on a peace brigade. That's a very passionate platform, Itake. Perhaps we could discuss this another time. Paki isn't as important right now as the infrastructure reports. A brave or stupid elder piped out. Itake looked at him. He used to like Mr. Tanaka and had planned to replace him last. But now, he had to get retribution for Paki-sama. With Naruto. Hours after escaping the impact hits me as I watch Sai's sleeping form. Using a combination of shadow clones, Hirishin, and a low-level wind jutsu to start a sandstorm to aid covering their tracks, I managed to get us hidden away in one of the canyons made from the compressed sandstone. Now we're near the village about 4 hours east and I sent out a few clones disguised as the common desert animals to scout for Gaara. If Suna was anything like Konoha, all the clones had to do was follow the insults. Kurama, I blew our cover, didn't I? I stare into the early morning light peeking over the canyon wall. Yes, but if you hadn't used the Hirishin then those large flesh bags pretending to be animals would have caught you. Umbu don't pretend to be animals, I deadpan. Snort. Then why do they wear masks? Why do they call themselves by those names? To protect their identities and to you know what? We are off topic. We need to decide what to do about the Alpha Squad after me, and the fact that the Hokage will know that Kitsune the Bounty Hunter and Guardian are the same as Naruto, runaway Jinchuriki. You want my advice? Of course. I hold my breath. Being thousands of years old, Kurama could be a wealth of wisdom at times. Kill all the flesh bags that know and your secret will be safe. Stupid fox. I meant a solution not ending in killing Konoha shinobi. Humph. You want a peaceful solution, ask those pansy Uchiha. I, Kurama the Great TM, have no need to be civil in my problem solving. I sweat drop at this. Knowing I needed to help Gaara regardless of Alpha being in the area, I curl up on the ground to sleep. Being great at seals meant most of our supplies were always on us in scrolls, including my Kodakais and an extra of size weapon. Unfortunately, a new sleeping bag was included in my extra supplies. I briefly consider swiping size. I had unsealed his bedroll and set him down. Taking it would be so easy. My hand slides over. No. Bad Naruto. Stealing from friends is bad. Several hours later. A surge of memories jolts me awake. My clones found Gaara. He apparently never slept, and was currently in a secluded courtyard by the Kaze Cage Tower. Well, there goes the easy plan. A tag had been sprawled on a rock, allowing me to get there, but if a fight broke out in the courtyard the Kaze Cage would notice. Oi, just send a clone to tell Shukaku that Kurama wants to play in the desert. Shukaku usually has more control over his hosts than the host does of him. He'll come. And then we fight. Kurama let out a bloodthirsty chuckle. Right. Well, if I'm able to, then a fight won't happen. And with that a clone goes to inform the Ichibai host of a meeting with Kyubi that would take place that night. He let the clone Hirishin, even though it was risky. Oftentimes his clones would disperse upon landing. If I pumped a ton of chakra into them they could survive, but it was a 60-40 shot at best. And Naruto? Sai's voice cuts through my musings. His eyes look around, his guilt replaced by shock. We got away, I said, answering his questions before he asked. I had to use the Hirishin to escape without bloodshed, but it's okay. They underestimated us, but those were Alpha, the best of the best. Next time we meet them they will not make the same mistake. Just then a clone hunged into a birdlands with a storage scroll. They bought Ataka's Pocky, all 1,000 boxes worth. What are we to do about the Jinchuriki? Sai questions as he sits up. He'll meet us here tonight and I'll do what I can. I have clones setting up temporary Hirishin tags for us to make a quick getaway afterwards. We'll go to Earth afterwards for training until Ren signals us in 8 to 12 months. That should give you enough time with Earth style and Taijutsu while I focus on the Uzumaki water and wind scrolls as well using Kurama's chakra. Sai nods. That plan seemed reasonable. With more than likely at least 10 months to train, Sai knew he could help take out Root. He planned to work harder than ever, to finally end that vile man. I send the scroll to attack it just as my clone pops. The meeting was on. Now it was time to set up a large chakra suppression barrier to herd Gaara into. That night, around midnight, I sense Shukaku nearby. His madness is worse than the last time we fought. Kurama's notice and observation puts me on edge. I relay the message to Sai and we start on phase 1, herding Gaara into the barrier on the canyon floor, hopefully before Shukaku comes out. Sai creates an ink bird and soars up above with Angel to provide aerial support using his ink beasts and dumping my scrolls of water for water-style ninjutsu. If need be Angel could jump down and expand, but her speed wouldn't be enough to dodge the sand spikes my clone saw Gaara controlling. I had 4 water scrolls made, and I sent Sai with 3. Those along with my Rasengan and summoning were the only things that would help, Sai and Angel basically amounting to distractions. I look at the summoning scroll Tsumiya handed me before I left the hollow, and her instructions. Flashback. Naruto. Wait, before you leave. I owe Ren a debt, so though you haven't been able to call on me yet simply because of the amount of chakra and control, I have a gift for you. Tsumiya said, her giant muzzle leaning down and her eyes boring into me. Tsumiya was the fox equivalent of Gamabunta in size. She led the mountain foxes, a section of the clan that grew much larger than the others. The amount of chakra to summon her alone, not even considering the other 6 on her squad, was equivalent to 2 Gamabunta apparently. I couldn't hope to summon her now. Tsumiya had a small scroll brought forth by another fox. This is a summoning scroll linked to me. Pump some chakra into it in times of need and I'll use my chakra to come and aid you to my last breath. She intoned. I look at it with gratitude. It was a huge honor to be given one of these scrolls. Ren must have done something extreme to gain this. I'm left speechless until Ryu, who had snuck up to sit beside me, whispered into my ear. Tsumiya-sama, I promise to only use this in the most dire of situations and with the greatest of gratitude, I say, parroting Ryu and bowing low. End flashback. Kurama. Let me rip you from your host and devour you. You will prove my existence. A voice rings out with a demonic twinge. I feel a pulse from Sai. Target half changed. Crap. This just got harder. Just then I jump up from the canyon floor to escape a large tendril of sand. Using the walls I make it to the top, facing opposite of Gaara. Shukaku. Let's see who's the best. I seem to remember me kicking you across the continent a century ago. I taunt, Kurama telling me what to say. Shukaku's host, a red-haired boy about my age and size, stands in a mass of sand. I erupt into two tails of Kurama's cloak, dodging an onslaught of attacks. Wind style, air bullets. Gaara screams as compressed bouts of air fly towards me, numbering in the dozens. I weave in and out of the onslaught in an attempt to reach Gaara before his full transformation happens. He calls out another attack, Sand Tsunami. And an ocean of sand tries to overtake me. As I couldn't use Hirishin while using Kurama's chakra, I make a clone and throw it high before switching with it to avoid the wave. Sigh, now. I bellow and he releases the first scroll, thousands of gallons of water erupting from the matrix to fall down on the half-transformed Gaara. Haha. You think a little water will slow me down? Gaara/Shukaku laughs. At this point there was little difference between the two. I smirk and weave through a series of signs. This would be the first time I used the jutsu in battle, and I pray it works. Water style, water pillar. All the water that fell on the ground gathered and surged upwards in an almost backwards waterfall. Gaara is rocketed into the sky. Angel takes that as her cue and vaults off of Sai's bird, instantly becoming the size of a house. She flips and, using her tail coated in chakra, slams Gaara back into the ground. Angel lands on her feet next to the Jinchuriki. I join her, looking at the now unconscious boy as my cloak recedes. Well, that was surprisingly easy. I move to grab Gaara and take him to the barrier. However, a mountain of sand erupts. Sai gets caught in the explosion's release of wind and is thrown back. I watch as the scrolls fall into the sand and disappear. Crap. I only have one more. How is Shukaku taking over, though? I knocked Gaara out. Imbecilic. Shukaku can take over its host's body, remember? Knocking him out before he ran out of chakra just gave my psychotic brother an opening. I get it. Now what? Use Tsumiya. You have to wake the host up. I nod and throw a kunao high above the rapidly growing Shukaku with Gaara asleep on its head. I channel chakra into Tsumiya's scroll, praying it works. With a large plum of smoke I'm standing on Tsumiya's head. Angel had already left to check on Sai, even she wasn't stupid enough to try Shukaku. Naruto. Why did you call me? Tsumiya asks. Tsumiya-sama. As you can see I'm fighting Shukaku right now. I need you to hold him down while I use a Rasengan to wake him up. I never signed up to fight a tailed beast, Naruto. But a promise is a promise. Alright, hang on. Tsumiya springs towards Shukaku while dodging its tail. Her single tail wraps around Shukaku's arm like a lasso, swinging him high. The ground shakes at the landing, but Tsumiya doesn't let up. Gaara, knocked out on the head, has sand twirling possessively around him. Tsumiya-sama. I need you to keep him still so I can knock him awake. I say, already prepping a Rasengan. I don't use the jutsu often, it's too famous and takes immense control, and I can't help but feel connected to my dad every time I call on it in battle. Very well, Naruto. Hurry up, though. I can't hold him long. She bites out as a volley of air bullets hits her back and she grunts in pain. Rasengan. I yell and drive the spinning orb into the sand tendrils, shredding them, and I slam it into his torso. Gaara screams in pain, causing him to wake up. Tsumiya immediately lets go and with a final wince at her back she disperses. No. I refuse to go back. Shukaku screams as the sand falls away. Gaara and I fall through the sky. I latch onto Gaara, now sporting a spiral burn above his seal, and teleport him to the barrier after putting a chakra suppression seal strong enough for a biju on him. I lay him down in the middle of the matrix, getting to work right away. I have a few clones go to stand sentry, knowing that it would be less than an hour before Suna sent somebody. One doesn't see a sand demon and giant fox fighting in the moonlight and just go back to bed. Looking at the seal, I start adding a bracing seal, anti-containment ring, mind protection ring, and tighten his overall matrix. As I'm drawing the last of the symbols, Sai and Angel appear, with Sai limping and clutching his side. I barely acknowledge their presence, moving against the clock. 5 minutes later it's done. Gaara slowly wakes up, and looks at us frightfully. No. I won't let you end my existence. I won't. He tries to control his sand, but the suppression seal was still on, preventing it. I smile kindly at him. Gaara, I'm not here to kill you. I just fixed your seal. Now Shukaku can't control you, and you will be able to sleep without fear. Gaara gapes at me slightly. Why did you help me? Even my father wants me dead. Even if you are like me, Shukaku wanted your blood. I snort at this. Because, stupid, we're family in a way. Shukaku wants to kill everyone really, and Kurama the Kyuubi already talked to him. He won't give you any problems now. And it was true. While I worked, Kurama sent a tendril of his chakra into Gaara and yelled at Shukaku. He told him next time he had to straighten him out he would be getting a bath in the ocean. Needless to say, Shukaku promised to behave. Gaara smiled at this, and it looked like the first smile in years. You know, we Jinchuriki have to stick together. My clones saw that you didn't have any friends. If you'd like, I could be your friend. An Angel and Sai, I add, gesturing to a waving Sai and Angel. Gaara blushes at the gesture and nods. Just then 2 of my clones pop. The Kaze cage was here. Gaara, I have to go now. Please keep my identity a secret. And here. I hand him a paper with the transport seal. We can write to each other, just set your letter on it and channel chakra into it. Gaara nods as I walk towards Sai and Angel, a seal all ready for us on the border of the land of rivers in a secluded cave Shisui had scouted out for us on a mission months ago. And, I am going off the Naruto map now. In the beginning I made a few mistakes, but now I should be geographically accurate. Wait. Gaara's frantic voice cuts through me using my jutsu. I never got your name. I smirk, my desert headgear gone during the fight. It's Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. Tell others that I'm Kitsune. With Gaara, moments after Naruto leaves. Gaara couldn't believe it. He had a friend. And he fixed his seal, something Lady Cho said was impossible. Gaara couldn't help it. He laughed in joy. This was the scene the Kaze cage walked into, his gold dust prepared for battle. He saw his son, someone who only enjoyed killing, smiling with what looked like new seals around his torso. No killing intent came from the boy and his smile was innocent. In truth, this scared the Kaze cage more. Who did this, Gaara? The Kaze cage asked. Gaara looked up. Kitsune. He said with a smile. Oh, the paperwork from this incident would surely be less preferable than Tailed Beast being released. To have Kitsune be the one to have done this. The reports were true. It was time to add this guardian group in the bingo books. Suna must gain their services. Perhaps Gaara's obvious friendship with them would work. With Naruto. As soon as we land I collapse. Using that much chakra, fueling a seal, and then using Hiroshin for such a distance with 3 entities exhausted even him. I crawl over to one of the cave walls, intent on a day-long nap. Sai sits opposite, running a green hand over his torso. Angel sits watch and we all sigh as the sun came up. After the last few days, a few days off would be nice. I heard about a famous hot spring nearby. Unfortunately, we wouldn't get a break, for as soon as I woke up almost a day later, there was a letter from Ren waiting for me. Ramen freak. The takeover is moved up. We attack in exactly 4 months. There is a tag hidden in the storage room for you. Ren. I groan. Of course Ren would move up the date, and without giving the reason. Is something wrong? Sai asks as he poked at a fire, a rabbit roasting. Yeah, Ren moved up the date, 4 months from today we strike. And, remember, I meant 4 months before, but accidentally put 2 months. This causes even Sai to pause and Angel to stare for a moment. I am sure Ren has a good reason. You haven't called her by any nicknames in a while. Finally give up. I tease. Sai looks up a little nervous. Well, my last attempts at friendly nicknames ended up in bodily harm. My teacher of medical ninjutsu explained that not everyone appreciates them. At least I know you don't mind them, Dickless. I face fault. My nickname had been Taiko for months. I start to complain but look at his face. We both burst out laughing. Okay, I gasped out after I gained control back. We need to head to the land of Earth. Using my Konoha and running at full speed we should get to the area I wanted to use in less than a week. While we're in the land of rivers I'll create more water storage scrolls. 4 months, there goes my hot spring trip. I grumble. Stupid midget Ren, pulling a mist rebellion. This is Kiri all over again. At least we have 4 months to train. The mist only gave us 6 weeks. Sai points out unhelpfully. I give him a withering look. A few days later, Konoha. Okamai stood at attention with his squad. The Hokage called them back after the report that Kitsune and Naruto were one in the same. He's more powerful than I imagined, Sarutobi muses after their report finishes. And our spies say somebody summoned a giant fox to fight the Suna Jinchuriki before altering the boy's seal. Now he's not bloodthirsty and can sleep. No doubt this is Naruto's work. Sarutobi sighed. He was getting too old for this. IWA was becoming bolder, with border skirmishes between them and other countries starting up for minor things. Konoha needed Naruto, especially if he could use the Hirishin. He had to wonder how his surrogate grandson who was always goofy and a little slow could become that proficient in so many areas. He was clearly A-ranked, and he just turned 10. Hokage-sama, if I may. Okamai stepped forward. Sarutobi gave a go-ahead gesture. Naruto Uzumaki refused to attack us, instead opting to evade and escape. He appears to be loyal to Konoha, but as you informed my team, he doesn't want to come back because of the political implications. He's intelligent and dedicated to Konoha, judging the amount of missing nin from our village his alias has taken down. And if Jiraiya-sama's toads are to be believed on what they heard, Naruto made his reward for assisting Kiri an alliance between us and them. What is your point, Okamai? My point is he's doing a good job outside Konoha, so why not let him keep doing it? I would let him be free, you know this, but it's too dangerous and he's our only Jinchuriki. Sarutobi sighed, exasperated. I don't mean unsupervised. We'll find him again and set up an agreement. He'll keep his Kitsune identity and continue on his little adventure. IWA won't attack for another 3 to 5 years while they recruit their forces. With his group's skill they can do some dirty missions for us until the war starts. When that happens you can claim his death was faked to train up Konoha's weapon. Your political power will be protected and the Uchihas will be too busy helping the war to try anything. Sarutobi pondered this. It was a good plan, he admitted, and could give him another chance with Naruto. Okay, I'll allow it. Okamai, I need the rest of your squad here, so I am sending you alone. Your mission is to track down Naruto and his group. Keep me updated every month, and notify me the minute you find them. I'll then decide your next course of action. Okamai bowed and left, grinning under his mask. Maybe he could convince the kid to let him train him. First, though, he had to find someone who could be across the continent in a second. The third Hokage slumped down into his chair. Now that that was done, he had to investigate the deaths of various Uchiha elders. All of them died of natural causes well, except the newest one. He died when his house collapsed, refusing to leave during a storm. The Uchiha Council was quietly being filled with Itake's supporters and it seemed just a little too suspicious, especially when Itake was going to be the one to kill the clan beforehand. Well, even if it was Itake, Hiruzen Sarutobi knew how to shift the blame to someone else. Thinking of another party that needed to go, he couldn't help the vicious smile that spread across his aged visage. Danzo's route would soon find itself in suspicion for planned genocide. Now he just needed some help. Get me Itake and Shisui Uchiha, the third Hokage ordered a messenger. Land of Earth 14 days later. Sai was working on crushing a boulder with his chakra, the second step of earth manipulation, Angel working on a claw attack with Ryu. On a small stream nearby, I and many copies of me were attempting to perfect the water-style, movable whirlpool, an A-class move that would create 4 vortexes of water to surround the user. It was made to absorb most attacks and could be maintained while prepping another jutsu or attacking with weapons. It would be a lifesaver in now 3 months and 9 days. So far, I had 2 other water jutsu learned and 1 wind jutsu. The timer goes off and I leave my clones to continue the task. Time for a 3-way spar, I call out to an excited Angel and sweating Sai. Every day we would have a free-for-all brawl and Ryu would referee. Remember, Ramen Boy, Psycho Kitty, Pasty, don't die and make it interesting. Ryu says and jumps back. I roll my eyes. Of course he takes to the insulting names like Ren. Or was it nicknames like Sai? No, Ryu was too cynical for nicknames. Just then I dodge a Tonto intent on slicing my head off. After a 10-minute fight that ended with Sai having both Angel and I bound with his ink ropes, Ryu calls it in his favor before dispersing for a planned squad mission. Looks like I win again, dickless. Sai says with a fake, taunting smile. I growl. Shut up. Let me use Kurama's chakra and I'll show you who's dickless. Sai starts to retort when a slow clap stops him. Instantly the binds are gone and everyone is battle ready. Walking out from behind a boulder is a familiar face. Okamai. Nice job, Naruto. You and your friends are certainly skilled. I prepare for us to flee when his next words stop me cold. Wait. I have a new proposition for you from the Hokage, a way for you to still stay as Kitsune. That piqued my interest. I'm listening. Konoha, with Itachi. As an Umbu captain, Itachi Uchiha was well versed in the dirty work of shinobi. As a pacifist he never thought he would enjoy it. But there is a first for everything. Itachi Uchiha was busy planting evidence of Danzo Shimura not only killing off Uchiha elders, but also the deaths of some influential civilian council members. And Itachi was loving every minute of it. Normally he would be ashamed, but taking Danzo, the Uchiha elders, and various civilians who had jeopardized Konoha with their hatred of both Naruto and the Hokage was almost as satisfying as the Pocky his foolish little brother Naruto sent him. Almost. As he used his Sharingan to forge Danzo's signature on key incriminating documents including the ones where he purchased the poison from IWA, why not blame them? War was already on the horizon and not backing down anytime soon. And the best part? The Hokage's plan to bring Naruto back into the village. Itachi had to fake surprise at Naruto being alive and the famed guardian Kitsune, but the smirk he gave at the Hokage's plan was real. Oh yes, today was a good day. Now he just had to take out the leader of the merchant guild and make it home in time to take Sasuke to school. Reaching into his pack Itachi froze. His green tea Pocky was almost out, and he didn't have time to travel outside the village to get more. But wait. Shisui was picking up Naruto's package today. Smirking Itachi quickly sends a crow with his letter to Naruto's seal. It was good to have a cousin to order around. With Naruto. I jump over a demon wind shuriken, flipping over and grabbing it in the process. Sending it back I call out, Shadow Shuriken Jutsu. And hundreds of the oversized pinwheels head back at my attackers. Smirking I think I got them when I hear curses and growls. Landing I believe the battle done. Until tails wrap around me and swords prick my jugular. My blindfold is sliced off. Alas, I am fallen, I say blandly. Really, it wasn't a surprise. I never won, and I voice this to the triumphant-looking assassination and infiltration squad. Takashi, a three-tailed red fox who was filling in the lieutenant role for Ren, snorted. Of course you didn't win, Ramen boy. You're only 10. No human your age could stand against us, especially blindfolded. Ren does. I deadpan. The entire squad's shoulders slump. Look. That doesn't count. Ren isn't completely human, okay? And she's a woman. A violent woman. And violent women don't get counted because even Manda signed the non-aggression treaty just to avoid her. Really? That got me curious. Manda was known as the battle-loving head of snakes, said to be larger than Gamabunta. To have him agree to not actively seek out war with the foxes just to avoid Ren was doubtful. Yes, really. Apparently having a lieutenant who can take out the assassination squad equivalent in the Snake Clan made him weary. When did this happen? Toshiro, a small five-tail with an eye patch pipes up. The week before she signed the contract with you. Ren was sent on a solo reconnaissance of their training methods in the human world. The snakes attacked her and instead of retreating she took them all out. There were 25 in the squad. Before that day snakes were said to be the most powerful assassin squad. But now, the foxes have that honor. And now that we have you and Kurama-sama as our allies as well, a lot of clans don't want to mess with us. Word is the toads are going to try and become your summons by citing that it is your birthright due to your dad. Toshiro was the squad's gossip, but looking at the others' faces I could tell he was being honest. It won't work though, right? Don't humans get to decide who their summons are? Mostly whoever signs the contracts gets it, right? Normally, yes. But being a Jinchuriki makes almost every clan want you, Ryu interjects, speaking for the first time. Our claim to you for being Kurama's Jinchuriki would automatically give us jurisdiction, but the toads are spouting some nonsense about you being their child of prophecy. You're the third sap to be loaded with that title and most of the clans are sick of it. However, the toads are powerful, and may seek war to bully us into giving you to them. I look down. So I need to not be a fox summoner, then. No. The entire squad shouts. I jump at the reaction. Sigh. No. You're the Fox Clan's ramen boy, and you have been given a room in the hollow. If the toads want war, we will go to war. It is the fox way. Ryu pats my head with a tail. Looking at the sky he curses. Looks like I have to go. Our squad has a job for tonight. Don't worry, the summit the toads want isn't for a while and our alliance with the toads should be strong enough to ward off war. Keep practicing. And with that almost 30 puffs of smoke signal they're leaving. I look up at a nearby boulder. You can come out, Okamai-sensei, I know you're there. Okamai chuckles as he steps forward. Excellent work with your summons, Kitsune. You could now last half a minute against Danzo. My eye twitches at the jibe, though it's hidden behind my mask. After agreeing to help Konoha in preparing for war in exchange for freedom of movement and going back home for the upcoming war, Okamai had stayed at the Hokage's request. Sai and I wore our guardian gear at all times and agreed to never go without them. Okamai wore a similar mask, but clothes and colors that didn't speak of Konoha's affiliation. Since he showed up almost 2 months ago, he taught both Sai and I his specialties, tracking, traps, and kenjutsu. Every day as my clones worked on perfecting water manipulation, jutsu, and created mountains of explosive, shock, poison, and sealing tags. They would be needed in the takeover. Oi. I'd last at least a minute. I say indigently. That was another thing Konoha was helping on, taking out Danzo. Apparently the Hokage wanted the old mummy dead and was ecstatic we already had a rebellion planned. Now Danzo would find himself as the scapegoat for the Uchiha deaths going around, which I acted surprised over, and the rebellion by the younger ninjas under his care, with the aid of us, though secretly, and the Hokage's men, would be his execution for his treachery. The Hokage was still miffed that I managed to learn the complete Hirishin when the 3 Hokage guards still couldn't. I used that as a bargaining chip. He gave me a buffet of Ichiraku-s after the root fiasco and I would teach them the full version. Yeah, keep bragging. Now, do you have the seals ready? Hokage-sama needs some more. I groan. I had basically become the village's secret tag maker for boosting their supplies. Half of what I make every week from the supplies sent are put into the vault for the war. By now the top Jonin and Umbu were aware that war was coming with IWA, and the academy had subtly upped their regiment. Humph. I don't know what I did to become the village's seal slave, but yeah, here they are. 500 suppression tags, explosive tags, poison tags, and shock tags, as well as 10 more prisoner scrolls for the hunter nin. I toss a large scroll at him, and he nods before turning to take it to his contact that would carry it to the Hokage. I would use a transport seal or my summons, but that seal was my trump card and the foxes were too obvious. The Hokage didn't want anyone to know who the village's supplier was. Most thought it was Jiraiya. Since you took it upon yourself to become better at seals than Jiraiya-sama, brat. If you didn't want to be so, then you shouldn't have learned Fuinjutsu. After the takeover, Hokage-sama plans to have you sit with the maximum number of clones you can make for a solid week making these. I pale at this. With Kurama seeping more chakra into my system to train in Kyubi chakra every day, my sustainable numbers went through the roof. Hundreds of hours of sealing the same tags. Oh joy. While I'm gone, go work on the new water jutsu from your Uzumaki scrolls. Sai is nearby working on his rock spike and mud wall jutsu. I can almost hear his amusement at my dread over my fate. That decrepit old man. Making me his personal seals slave and moaning about my leaving, aging him 10 years. Curse his guilt tripping. You could always let me eat him. Don't tempt me. With Shisui. With his speed, Shisui Uchiha was the ideal runner to pick up Naruto's quarry. He hated feeling like a pack mule, though he was Umbu, not a messenger pigeon, and when he complained to Naruto about having to carry a big scroll was a waste of his skill, and did not sweet his skills as an elite shinobi, his little brother promised to not waste his time. Shisui assumed that meant he would finally tell the Hokage about his transport seals. So when he still had to meet the Hokage's agent that was teaching his little brother more about traps and infiltration, did his brother really need to be more dangerous? He was confused. After going through the identity confirmation, Okamai set the scroll down. Tell the Hokage that Kitsune is working out the special order and it should be done by D-Day. Shisui's ears perked at this. Kitsune, Naruto's code name. The special order was unknown to even him. Naruto refused to talk to him about it. D-Day was Danzo's day to die. To have it done by then must make it important. As Okamai left, Shisui picked up the scroll. Only to have seals go all over his body and a note pop out. Shisui nii. You complained about your mission being too easy, so I made it where you can train while transporting the scroll. From the moment you picked the scroll up to when you pass through Konoha's gate, resistance seals will be all over you. Enjoy the workout. Kitsune. P.S. Itaki nii says to come back with more green tea Pocky or don't come back at all. Shisui tore up the note. Damn Naruto. Damn Itaki. Damn Pocky. He starts trudging back to Konoha, feeling like lead. With Naruto. Again, Okamai orders. I pant, trying to control the two chakra tails. I could make them weave, but anything more seemed to be impossible. Sai throws rocks at me while I attempt to grab them. Instead, the rocks either dissolve or my tails can't grasp them. Arg, the journals say I should be able to do this. In my frustration, I fail to notice I'm holding one of the rocks. As soon as I start paying attention to it, the rock dissolved. Konoha. Kakashi Hatake was in a bad mood. Not only had he abandoned his sensei's son and ignored him, even while the Uchiha cousins of all people trained him, but he then failed to find Naruto when he went missing. Now everyone save a few thought his sensei's son was dead and Kakashi couldn't do anything about it. He had just gotten back from the Hokage, who gave him a tongue lashing worse than the time Naruto got hurt once while he was on watch duty. Kakashi demanded he be sent to find his supposed-to-be little brother. The god of shinobi had blandly said that Naruto was on a long-term top-secret mission and didn't need a man who abandoned him once to suddenly take an interest in him out of guilt and endanger his mission by interfering. Kakashi then made the mistake of trying to call the Hokage's bluff since Naruto couldn't be on a mission. The Orange Menace of Umbu, try as he might, the genjutsu didn't seem to work and Naruto quickly went back to Orange, while becoming somehow more obnoxious, was not one to be able to handle a covered mission. Baiting the Hokage was never a good idea. As punishment, he was taken out of Umbu to become a Jonin sensei. The only one he wanted to teach was Naruto, but his mistakes made that dream impossible. With the Hokage. Lord Hokage, was it really a good idea to give Kakashi a genin team? Nezumi, one of his most trusted guards and best fighter in Alpha, questioned. The man barely spoke, but when he did, Hiruzen Sarutobi always listened. Yes, Nezumi, I do. As you recall, I've been wanting to take the mask away for years, and teaching will do good for him. Sarutobi said, blowing on his pipe. Naruto is out of his reach for now, but another team could be just as good for him. Yes, Lord Hokage, Nezumi bowed, still uneasy with the situation, but his leader was clear. Now, I need a report. How is Operation Pack Rat going? An foreshadowing. Just remember this for some time in the future. With Naruto. After practice, I stare at the storage scroll that held all my ramen cups in horror before trying again. No. It can't be. I'm out of ramen. It was true, but I checked yesterday, I had over 100 left, plenty to last me for the week until D-Day, where I would then be treated to an Ichiraku buffet. Suddenly the smell of burning ramen and plastic waved through the air. I follow the scent to see Okamai burning ramen-sama. He looks at me, the final cup held above the fire. Over his uniform he wore a shirt that spoke blasphemy, ramen is not God's gift to man. Kurama. Tails. I must destroy this heathen. Kurama complies without complaint. Okamai seems to grin through his porcelain mask as he drops the cup. Just as the fires of hell lick the bottom of the cup, my tail grabs it gently. The other tail picks up my former, now dead sensei, intent on slamming him into the ground. Sai sticks a Baijuya suppression seal on my back just as I lift him up. I collapse at the sudden lack of chakra. Good work, my student. You can now control your tails, Okamai says over me. I glare at him. You killed my ramen. Prepare to die. I move to stand up. Oh? Then I guess you don't want to go to Ichiraku's tonight, was his light reply. I stop in my tracks. Lord Hokage was going to let us use Hiroshin to arrive tonight and let us stay in the mansion for the week. He even opened an unlimited tab for you so that you can have some fun before our job. But, if you love instant ramen so much more, then I guess I'll just send a hawk and tell him to give the tab to someone else. I hear a shin throughout the secluded training ground. Within a minute everything is packed up. Hold on, we have 4 jumps to go. I stick Angel in my jacket and grab onto Sai and Okamai. Sai sighs in resignation, but Okamai. Hold on, you can just take us one at a time. 4 bodies is dangerous and... No time. Ramen-sama, here I come. 4 jumps later, Hokage's office. We appear in a place I haven't been in for 3 years, using a tag the Hokage had me give him. I barely glance at anything, one thing on my mind. Gigi. Glad to see you, now let's go get ramen you promised after letting Okamai Baka burn 100 of my instant cups. I say, jumping back into my old mask, bouncing up and down. Sniggers can be heard behind me, as both Sai and Okamai are collapsed on the floor from the multiple jumps and Angel falls out of my jacket. I turn around. To see 30 Umbu looking at me, Shisui rolling on the floor laughing in his captain's cloak. Oh, he didn't. He just called the infamous Demon's Bane Okamai a baka. Most of the other captains facepalm while many regular Umbu can't help but show various signs of amusement. Okamai sits up unsteadily and seems to glare behind his mask. Watch what you call me, or we'll play hide and explode for the next week. I pale slightly and start bowing in apologies. Some of Okamai's men hidden in the room, and the captains who had to train with him, winced in sympathy. Hide and explode was a variation on the children's game where the area would be riddled with pressure-sensitive kunai, exploding traps, and clones and you had to avoid them all for an hour. Mess up once and the timer resets. Please no. Last time it took 16 hours for me to win. Shisui snorts at my pathetic record. I wouldn't be laughing, Uchiha. If I remember correctly, the last time we played you took 10 hours to win while Naruto, who's 10, by the way, is on his way to beating your time. By the time he's 12 I'd say he'll only take an hour. Silence permeated the room as even the Hokage's mouth dropped open. Even the Hokage was shocked by that record, it seems. I preen a little at the praise. Of course, I could do it at 11, but 12 is alright too. Okamai adds. My form twitches as the jab hits. You walked right into that one kit. Kurama roars in laughter. Naruto, mind telling me why you risked blowing your cover just to get ramen early? If it had been anyone but my Umbu in here, and Okamai was supposed to tell you to come tonight. The Hokage interrupts the moment. I slip into being. Gigi. It's not just ramen. It's ramen-sama, get it right. And if you wanted me to wait, then this guy, I point to Okamai accusingly, should never break life's most sacred rule. Oh? And what rule is that, Naruto? What sacred rule have you learned while away? A crow-masked Umbu obviously attacking I asked. I stare at the non-believer. That burning ramen is paramount to treason. Nobody messes with my ramen. The third Hokage puts his head in his hands. Are all Uzumakis obsessed with ramen? I look at him strangely. Of course not. Ren, she's obsessed with poisons and sharp things. Everyone seems to pale at this, the thought of an Uzumaki completely enthralled by killing devices. Let me rephrase that, are all Uzumakis completely nuts? Of course, Gigi. The stronger you are, the crazier you are. Just look at Guy. And everyone knows the Uzumakis were the strongest clan before 3 armies ganged up to wipe them out, 10 of them dying for every Uzumaki. Nobody seems to be able to comment on that, for Guy was the strangest yet one of the strongest shinobi they had, and the Uzumakis did have a colorful history. Akem, thank you for the entertainment, Naruto. Since you're here, would you 3 like to sit in on the meeting, seeing as you and Sai are key parts? I nod and walk over to stand next to Ataki and Shisui, my serious mood back. Ramen could wait. Sai, after picking himself up, stands at attention with me. Some look at us weird, as if wondering what 2 10-year-olds could do. Angel, after becoming quite attached to Okamai over the last month or so as he taught her advanced tracking, settled herself on his shoulder. No one dared to laugh at the stoic man with a kitten draped around himself as he stood behind the Hokage, in fear of incurring his ire. Excuse me, Hokage-sama, but what can 2 10-year-olds do, especially the Orange Menace? One Umbu, the boar-masked one that never liked me, asked. Sai stiffened slightly at the insult, but I held his shoulder. I would not rise to the bait. I haven't enjoyed wearing orange in years and only kept wearing it before I left for my mask. If they didn't want to let go of the past, that was their problem. I have to agree, Hokage-sama. Is he here because he can use the Hirishin to carry people? Lord knows he's too weak and short to do anything else. Another Umbu pipes in. My hand drops from Sai's shoulder. Must not kill Umbu. Must not hurt loyal Konoha ninjas. As I contemplate ways to make the dreaded short comments stop, I've grown 2 inches. I'm not a midget. Shisui's hand ruffles my hair. I glance up, but he's not looking at me but at the Umbu behind us, his Sharingan eyes spinning behind his mask. Don't you dare insult my little brother, especially when you all know what he's accomplished. You've heard from the Hokage about his alter ego being a key player in Kiri's bloodline rebellion. You've read the bingo books from Kumo and Suna listing him as a high B, low A ranked bounty hunter, with a large bounty to be captured alive for his skills. If the Hokage and 3 other nations recognizes his worth, what right do you have to question it? HN. And with that he turns back around to me. Plus, the only ones who can pick on my little brother's height are me and Itachi. The moment of gratitude I felt towards him disappears instantly. Well, at least it wasn't a ramen nickname. Okay, Naruto. Why don't you tell us what your little spy has found? Are the preparations in order? Underneath the forest of death, root base. Danzo Shimura normally never smiled, but this was one of the exceptions. His greatest achievement kneeled in front of him, her red hair and fox ears unmoving. Ren Uzumaki was truly a gem to be found. One of Orochimaru's escaped experiments apparently, she was more animal than human, his prized pet. Why Orochimaru lost her he didn't know, but the girl was his now, and she had become unquestionably loyal. With the proper training the past 7 months she had risen in the ranks, becoming one of his most trusted and strongest agents. And she was only 5. Oh yes, soon she would be ready. Once he trapped the Jinjuriki in his grasps, then Konoha would be his to shape, for its own good, of course. Rise, my pet. You have done well, and next week you and Hikari will have a final test in front of the entire route. There was not a twitch at the name, and her face remained impassive. Danzo couldn't help but pat her head. Again no reaction. Good. It had taken time, but now nothing could get a reaction out of her. Remember the training. Can't kill him, attacking would ruin the plans. I can't kill him. Ren repeated this mantra inside her head as she continued looking like a doll. Heh, such violent thoughts, kitten. Angel. How the heck are you in range? The midget ramen freak had the audacity to bring us here early for his favorite dish. Why am I not surprised? At least I have you to talk to. I've missed you. Ren cut the connection to gaze obediently at Danzo's feet. The mummy was not aware that in 6 days at the beginning of her test the Hokage and the Umbu would be cleaning out the hallways of Danzo's loyal men while Naruto swept through setting the chain in place. As soon as the chain activated, all the kids that sided with Ren would swarm the senior agents. The Hokage would take on Danzo and the Umbu would provide backup. Just 6 more days of this. Continue working on your Mokyudan. I will send REI for your Kenjutsu lessons tonight. Dismissed. Ren nods. Yes, Danzo-sama. It was amazing how arrogant the man was. So paranoid, but when given a prize he would overlook the minor things. That would be his downfall. At the underground training area Ren used for Mokyudan training, however slow that training went, she passed by Hikari. Minion, Ren's word caused the girl, who despite being half her age was almost an inch taller, to stiffen. Why yes, Ren-sama. The girl knew Ren was older than her and that she could kill her in an instant if she didn't behave. Not that Ren would, but the perceived threat was there. The zoo will be in town in 6 days. We can go get ice cream afterwards. Spread the word. Hikari's eyes lit up slightly. The zoo was the Hokage and the Umbu, while ice cream was what she wanted to go eat when they were free. Ren wasn't lying to her then, she would be free soon. That would be acceptable, Ren, Nei-chan. Ren jolted at the change. She quickly swatted the girl's head and continued walking, making sure not to show her sudden blush of happiness. 6 days later, Naruto. I was through the underground passages, completing my special task. The Hokage had issued the warrant officially for Danzo's death after he ordered the bombing of the senior Uchiha Council. Itachi was supposed to be there but was running late, and had to watch the building burn. The Uchiha were out for blood, and they would get it. Even if it was the wrong blood. Tag after tag is thrown at the walls as I follow behind an Umbu squad. Clones went to do the same with other squads. A pulse rings on my wrist and let Itachi, who's the captain of the squad, know. It's Ren. Everyone's ready. HN. We'll be done in 5 minutes with our passage, and the other squads should be the same. Will your role be complete by then? He never looks back as his squad either takes out or subdues every root agent they come across, all adults and teens. The children and newly inducted were in the arena to watch Ren, Danzo's personal favorite at the moment, complete her test. Once the cows started, the root agents would funnel through the passages, where a rather nasty surprise awaited them. Yes. Once my clones dispel, I will start my second task. Arena. Silence rang through the air, as two warriors gazed at each other. They were just informed only one would survive. Ren stared impassively while Hikari started crying. With a thud of his staff, Danzo Shimura started his pet's induction test, not noticing the scroll in his pocket that had all the curse mark indicators was becoming less populated as the agents sent to guard the halls dropped like flies. Konoha clashed in midair before two identical Tonto blades glimmer in the dull cavern. Just then a chakra-released explosive tag tuned into Naruto's chakra explodes on the ceiling. Hikari looks towards at Danzo, who was already giving orders as the young rebelled in too great a wave to be controlled and the Hokage Sambu swarm in. The girl jumps next to the old warhawk and kneels submissively. What are you doing? Go and squash this uprising. Danzo demanded. Hikari lifted her head. Boom. She said. And with that an overpowered exploding clone jutsu taught to Ren by Danzo rang out in the cacophony of war. Outside Konoha, backroad. Ren's clone jerks up at the sudden memory and laughs lightly. She knew he lived through it, but still. Glancing at the girl riding on Angel's back next to her, she smiles. Technically Ren shouldn't be wasting chakra to make clones, especially an exploding clone of her minion or one of herself to take said minion to safety or having Angel assist her, but it didn't matter. Don't worry. I know of a safe town over the border in the Land of Iron. A samurai there is a contact for the Fox clan and will take you in. Why are you doing this? Hikari was confused, even more so as Ren, well, her clone anyway, unsealed an ice cream cone and let her eat it. Ren was always unforgiving and harsh, plus all root agents were to be taken in by Konoha and made into ninjas. Heh. I couldn't let my little sister get hurt, could I? You hate being a ninja. Your journal talked about you wanting to own a tea shop. Well, this samurai will let you enroll in the trade school there. Really? Yes, minion, really. Now hang on, we have to speed up if we're going to get there before I dispel. Outside root base, right before signal. I sit down in the middle of my seal array. My masterpiece, a truly horrible seal matrix, really was entrapped around me. Clones of me were now set up in the cavern, ready to assist the Umbu and the evacuations. The signal, the start of the match, goes off and one clone's dispel informs me. I take a deep breath. Running through hand seals at a fast but even pace, a 100-piece chain is complete. Uzumaki sealing, links have cut off. And with a glow, my task is complete as long as I keep the chakra flow even in the circular pattern surrounding me. The links of cut off would block anyone's chakra linked to Danzo's curse seal from being accessed in the barrier, which was linked by tags a set distance apart. If one tag was set wrong, the whole chain fell. Now I just had to sit here and make sure my chakra stayed even. A shuriken comes hurling towards my head. I duck under before one of the Umbu assigned to my protection kills the root agent, no doubt one of the many sleepers signaled by Danzo when the assault started. A bead of sweat rolls down as I continue the chakra stream. Cursing, I notice 6 more root in the trees above me. This was going to be a long night. With Naruto. Another clone inside the base goes off to inform me of the fact things were in disarray. You think, oh great captain of the obvious? Shut it, overgrown rabbit. I'm a little busy here. I spread my chakra through my feet to free both hand. Another agent, they seemed to be infinite, tries to lunge from behind only to encounter one of my guards. Seeing how tired they were getting, I throw up a scroll. Everyone, gather around. Only slight hesitation and the 3 create a triangle around my form. Thousands of gallons of river water bursts through the scroll. Water style, movable whirlpools, and 4 medium sideways swirls of water surround us. The move required a stream of chakra to maintain, but judging by the fact it already neutralized 3 fireballs and tore a root agent who tried jumping through in half, it was well worth it. Karama? Already doing it, kid. My chakra is maintaining the whirlpools. I nod in thanks. What the hell is this move? The boar-masked Umbu asked, evident. Heh, he wasn't doubting me now. It's an Uzumaki clan move, I say. It's classified as an A-rank barrier type move, took me 5 weeks with clones to learn. But, it is saving our lives right now. Another Umbu, eagle, lazily jabs his tonto through the throat of a root attempting to come from above. I'll say. Good work, kid. I'm a water affinity too. Mind teaching me it? Bor asks. I blink owlishly behind my mask, glad it was hiding my dropped jaw. Sure, after we survive this. I summon a clone who vaults off my shoulders to above the barrier. Wind style, claws of the wind god. Wind gathers around the clone's hands, creating beast-like claws. The semi-invisible claws rip into the nearby enemies, sending them flying through the forest. With Sarutobi. With Inma already summoned, Sarutobi faces off against his one-time friend. Danzo Chimera, you have made a mockery of the will of fire with your political treachery for too long. For that, I sentence you to death. Ha! That's rich, coming from you, you weak old monkey. Everything I did for Konoha. After I take you out tonight, Konoha will be stronger under my rule. I sense your little pet, the Jinchuriki, outside. I'm looking forward to taming him. Sarutobi growled and launched. Back with Naruto. The whirlpools finally died down after the waves of enemies seemed to stop. Panting, I worked to keep the seal going. 5 more land, surrounding us. Give us the Jinchuriki, one orders. Danzo Summer requires his abilities. The Umbu stiffen and block their path. 4 more root join in. Stand down, guys, I order quietly. Bor looks back towards me, no doubt confusion written on his face. No way, brat. You're too important. I sigh. This would be harder. Just, stay still at least. Kurama then sends his chakra roaring through my own. The 2-tail form bursts forward, and the Umbu flinch. They weren't expecting this. Now, die. And the tails shoot forward. Impaling one and using it as a club, the left tail swipes out half. The right tail takes the other group. The final man falling, I drop the cloak, panting heavily. Though I hadn't moved, I had used more chakra than the Shukaku incident. Remind me to never get you mad. Bor whistles, as the other 2 nod, looking at the destroyed area. I look up at a sudden burst of chakra, seeing Ren and the Umbu coming out of the tunnel with the now former root kids. She's dragging a rather exhausted-looking Sai by his hood, his mask cracked off. Ren spots me and grins widely before running towards me, Sai flying in the air. Ramen freak. She screams, initiating a group hug. Ren irk. So glad to see you, and Sai, where's Angel? I ask, struggling to breathe. Ren looks away suspiciously. She didn't want to fight. So I sent her on an errand of some sort. I look at her incredulously but wince when she digs her foot into mine and pale when I see her promised a very painful death. Sure. I'm sure Angel finally found a battle she didn't want to go berserker on. Would you please let me go? Back with Sarutobi. Both S-class shinobi trade jutsu, with Hiruzen Sarutobi clearly dominating. Danzo, who had grown soft having his men fight for him, was on his own. All his loyal root were either dead or captured. The rebels in Umbu had evacuated already. The 2 men were at a war of ideals. And the Hokage's ideals were winning. Earth style, Earth flow river. Sarutobi yelled as the Earth river knocked into Danzo. Wood style, cutting blades, Danzo said after replacing himself with a piece of rubble and getting close, wood sprouting into a makeshift sword sharper than steel. I see your madness sunk you to new depths. Sarutobi said sadly, seeing Danzo's Mokutan arm. With 2 hand seals he blew out a volley of flames, catching Danzo's robes in his escape. Wind style, vacuum palm, Danzo intoned, knocking Sarutobi off his feet. Danzo, knowing his chakra wouldn't last against Hiruzen's, used the wind to get close again, going for a clean stab through the heart with his now wooden arm. Finding himself inches from Sarutobi unable to advance, he looked down, seeing a rock spike through his center. The Sarutobi in front of him poofed, and behind him the real Sarutobi walked up. When? Danzo asked, his life fading. Before I made the Earth River. You let yourself go, my friend. You let yourself think your men were infallible, and that you were too clever to be caught, allowing a girl of 10 to trick you and a couple of teenagers to frame you. Your time is done. With a final swing of Inma, the old warhawk's neck broke, ending his reign. Outside the base, Sarutobi met his Umbu, all relieved he was okay. How is Kitsune? He asked before spotting his surrogate grandson being strangled by their spy and Saikamono. He reminded himself was trying to appease her. Inma transformed instantly. Lieutenant Ren. Stop disgracing your clan by strangling your summoner. Cease immediately or I'll throw you over my knee like last time. The Monkey King's voice rang out, ending all chatter. Hiruzen Sarutobi, having known Inma for decades, could tell he was doing a good-natured tease. But, judging by the color draining from the little spy, she did not. With Naruto. Ren stopped strangling me for asking her how the Mokyudan was going, apparently not well, judging by her attempted murder as soon as Lord Inma's voice bellowed out. I smirk at her paling face. According to Ryu, she somehow insulted the Monkey King, resulting in a duel at the last summit. After being trounced around across the neutral meeting ground, he grabbed the paddle he used for his own kids and disciplined her. Lord Inma. How wonderful for you to come. I promise you that won't be necessary. Ren said, bowing a billion times in quick succession. Her face was ashen and sweat pooled out. I smiled deviously. Ouch, Ren. You broke my fingers, what did I ever do to you? I moan, cradling my hand. She whips to glare at me. Don't forget you dragged me through the tunnels as I bled out, Sai said in a monotone, holding up a finger with a just-made paper cut. Umbu snigger as she curses us both. Oh, my, Ren-chan. Looks like we need to have another etiquette lesson. Inma smiled in a grandfatherly fashion, pulling a paddle from nowhere. A scene I never thought I'd see before happened. Ren Uzumaki, one who laughed at pain and sought out danger. Who defeated the snake assassins? Who tamed a hellcat? The one whose temper I feared more than the Shinigami. That Ren ran in the opposite direction of Inma, screaming for mercy. 3 days after Route 300 of me sit in the Hokage training grounds, making the endless seal notes I'm sure he ordered simply to kill my brain with the monotony. And my body? Well, Inma is assisting in killing that. Get up. You lazy sack of bones, even Konoha lasts longer than this. Inma says while stomping on my collapsed form, while Ren, Sai, and Angel were experiencing similar torture at the hands of Inma's subordinates. Inma had offered demanded to train all 4 of us for past 3 days, and my now former, after this grandfather figure smiled sweetly and agreed. I know for a fact. Saru couldn't last 5 minutes of your torture disguised as training. Even Ryu wasn't as hard. I gasped between kicks and glare at him. Oh, were you not satisfied with my training, ramen boy? An oh-so-familiar voice rings out. I jolt, as does Ren, straight up, and spot Ryu. With his whole squad. I just came here to offer some moral support, but now I see you and Ren need another training session, if this is getting you down. The whole squad, even the usually sympathetic Toshiro, grins at us like maniacs. Ah, Ryu, it's been a while. I hope you find teaching as enjoyable as I have. Guys, I gulp as the monkeys disappear. Retreat. And all 4 of us bolt. Ryu looks at us as we run. Squad training retrieval code Delta. And the whole squad chases us. What the hell is training retrieval code Delta? I shout to Ren, who barely glanced back at the pursuers. It's an exercise for the real retrieval code Deltas. It means they won't stop chasing us until either we're dead, they're dead, or Captain says stop. I believe the proper term for our situation is, we're screwed. Sai says as he dodges a very real sword aimed at his head. Inside the Hokage's office a group has gathered around the crystal ball. Ha! Serves the brats right. Bor said. Oh. That one will hurt in the morning. A lizard Umbu winced. If they survive. Another quipped. I'm sure Naruto and his friends will survive, probably. The Hokage said. Any bets for how long they last? Shisui says after a moment. Give me 50 on an hour. 70 on 5. My Koi will make it 24 hours. 200 Ryo. Okamai said, slapping down some bills. Itaki and Shisui whipped their heads around and glared at Okamai. Your Koi? Itaki asked slowly. Yes, my Koi. When they officially come back from the dead I'm petitioning them for Umbu, and they will join, even if I have to use persuasion. So yes, my Koi. HN Naruto and the others will be my Koi when they joins Team Delta. Shisui said with a glare. That is where you're wrong, cousin. Naruto and his friends are joining Team Ro and being my Koi. Itaka butted in. Most of the other captains had to lay their claims in. I don't think so. Those kids belong with my squad. Hell no, my squad needs them more. And with that Naruto's future became the source of squad warfare, with the Hokage sighing in the middle. All the captains turned to their leader. Lord Hokage, they all asked simultaneously, tell the other teams that my squad gets the Koai. 1 week later. I must say, that Fox's training was more difficult than any I received en route. Sai winced as he rubbed his shoulder. We had done the simulation torture disguised as training for 7 straight days. Olive plop on the grass and groan. At least it's over. We leave in a week. I say. I vote for a hot spring trip. Ren says, leaning against Angel. I second. Sai groans. Just then the Hokage appears with 7 men, 2 of them Bor and Okamai. That won't be possible, I'm afraid, the Hokage said calmly, ignoring the 4 sets of death glares sent his way. Naruto, Bor mentioned you would show him how to do a water ninjutsu. I palm my face. Hell no, please not now. Can't I just send you a scroll? I plead. If you do that I won't give you this scroll with 50 bowls of pork ramen, he threatened, holding a lighter above said scroll. By then I'm patting him on the back. Of course I want to teach it to you. There's no need to get desperate. Sigh, there he goes. Angel, Okamai will take you for the next week to train in tracking and battle strategies for animals. Angel trudged up to the man and they left to a secluded spot. Sigh, this here a point to a medical ninja by the uniform, is the Umbu medical specialist, codenamed Rai. He will aid you in furthering your medical ninjutsu. Sai nodded and bowed. It was true, he couldn't heal many injuries still and he wasted a lot of chakra in the diagnosis. Ren. This is Tenzo, he has your same ability and can help you. Ren groaned. Please no, I don't need Mokyudan, I'm deadly enough as it is. She cried. Tenzo, dressed in a standard Umbu uniform without the mask, frowned. You will treat the Hokage with respect. Learning Mokyudan is necessary, Konoha needs more of us. He said sternly. Ren leveled his gaze. Except I'm not a part of the village, I'm a summons, a familiar that stays by the midget, but still a summons. I glower at her. I had grown 2 inches. I wasn't a midget any longer. The two glare at each other for a moment and a fight seems inevitable. Ren, I cut in before Kunao are drawn, go learn from him or I'll tell Ryu it was you who ate his special pudding and not Toshiro. Faster than Hirishin she was up and dragging the man away. Naruto, the Hokage said, in addition to aiding Bor, you will be helping these 3 with what we talked about. I trust you'll fulfill your end of the bargain. I nod. Of course, Gigi. As long as Saru brings me the ramen at the end and I can spend some time with him. The Hokage smiled and nodded. As he left I sent a shadow clone with Bor to learn the movable whirlpools and grinned at my students. It's nice to meet you, Naruto. I'm Genma, this is Rado and Iwashi. Not that we don't like meeting you, but do you mind explaining what a 10-year-old who is claimed as dead is teaching us that got us off work for a week? Genma, a senbon somehow balancing in his mouth, said in a lazy drawl. Of course. Now, I'm here to teach you guys how to use the Hirishin properly. All 3's mouths dropped as I then appeared at a Kunao behind them, my mouth in a smirk. They looked at each other and then at me, bowing. We look forward to learning, Naruto-sensei. 1 week later, I know, another time skip. I gaze in pride as 3 flashes appear in front of my feet at different Kunao. Good job, you 3. It will take a ton more practice to get it completely learned, but still, by Gigi's standards you guys are ready. The 3 that had become my friends the past week high five. A dream fulfilled. Who would have thought the problem was that Minato-sama made the seal specifically to work with blood of his kin and he put our DNA matrix jumbled together. How did you fix that, anyway? Rado asked, eyeing the bags under my eyes. Let's just say when you can make hundreds of shadow clones no problem is too big, I say with a yawn. He nods in understanding. Sai walks up with a new set of scrolls and books, waving. Hey, Sai. What's with the new books? I ask even as I toss him a storage scroll. Thank you, Dickless. In exchange for leaving the advanced books I received from Lady May, since most of them I cannot do yet and they hold techniques our village has not seen yet, Rai-sensei has lent me more books on my level, including an Earth-style scroll with 5 jutsu. I whistle, even as Genma snorted. Dickless. He said. Nickname that you will never repeat, I warn. Before any more arguing can happen, Angel and Bor appear, both looking exhausted. Ha. Take that, you brat, I mastered it in a week. Beat that. Bor boasted as he pointed at me in his torn uniform and cracked mask. Snort. No thank you. And you haven't mastered it yet. What? I have to, I can create the 4 whirlpools, he said. Now, Borchan, you haven't mastered it until you can use other ninjutsu while maintaining it. That will take you another month. I chide. He grabs my shirt collar, shaking me. Why the hell didn't you say something sooner? I already told my captain I mastered it. I'm doomed when he finds out. Bor collapses on the ground in a heap. Ren and Tenzo walk up, see the Umbu in distress, and shrug when I mouth don't ask. Ren. How was training? I ask cheekily. She knows I used a shadow clone to spy, telling me exactly how it went. I won't dignify that with a response except to say if I ever have to see this idiot again it will be too soon. Tenzo matched the glare she gave. Agreed. I don't believe I could handle such a spoiled, disrespectful brat again in my life. I snigger. The two had spent the week insulting one another, not even noticing that both of them improved on their Mokyudan manipulation. Ren didn't even care that she learned the wood clone and tree limb, which allowed the user to use 5 roots as they saw fit. She only cared that she couldn't kill her teacher as he taunted her. Humph, I could have spent the week with the clan, but no. I had to endure your boring speeches about my duty as a Mokyudan user. You do have a duty. The Senja bloodline is unique to Konoha, meaning your alliance should be to Konoha. He admonished. No, as a personal summons my duty and loyalty is to my summoner and the Fox clan. If Naruto ever decided to leave for good and join the circus, I would follow. Ren rolled her eyes. The Hokage guard stared at her. You're a summons. Rado asked. But you're human. Iwashi added. Ren bowed and pulled off her cloak, exposing her tail and ears. Lieutenant Ren Uzumaki of the Fox clan's assassination and infiltration squad. I'm feared far and wide in the summoning world, bow before me, puny mortals. She jumped on Ren, striking a pose similar to a certain toad summoner. Sai looked away and I face-palmed while Tenzo rolled his eyes. But you're human, mostly, Genma added. Ren was adopted. It's rare but summoning clans can bring anyone into the summoning world, so long as the adopted party agrees to act like any other summon. I quickly say, not needing her antics. Ren pouts at being interrupted. Nii-san. A voice I had been waiting for screamed. I turned to see Saru barrel into me, Gigi a ways back with ramen takeout. Are you sure you can't stay for my birthday next week? Kano Amaru's eyes were teary as I checked my bag before bed. We had to leave at dawn the next day. I'm sure, Saru. I have to be gone for another 3 to 5 years. But, I say mischievously, just because I won't be there for your birthday, doesn't mean I didn't get you anything. I glance around to make sure nobody was watching and pass him a book. Keep this book secret and continue the legacy. I say in a whisper. Kano Amaru nods with a giggle. I promise. As my little brother left for his home, I felt Konoha would be in for a surprise. After all, I did leave Naruto Uzumaki's prank book to Kano Amaru Sarutobi. Days later. A day before the border of grass and earth our group stopped at a hot springs, setting up privacy seals in our room looking over the bingo book. Okay, Konoha was fun and it felt good to help the root kids become normal Konoha ninja. Well, most of them anyway. I look at Ren accusingly, who had admitted she took her partner somewhere far away. I regret nothing. Right, but anyway, our next task will be the most difficult one yet. I continue, and point at the map of Earth. We have to find a high-level missing nin from IWA, one that requires the Tsuchikage to give us the reward money, and use it to become IWA-sponsored bounty hunters. Their shocked faces mirror the ones I had when the Umbu commander and the Hokage told me. Do they want IWA to kill you for your father's crimes? Ren asked in disbelief. To be a village's sponsored bounty hunter you basically became one of their ninjas but unofficially, the village refusing to acknowledge you as one of their as the nature of the sponsored missions were not good for the public eye. The money was phenomenal but the risks were high, causing the program to be mostly unused. Nope. I grinned despite myself. Because they won't recognize me even with my hood and mask off. I think you've forgotten how the henge works, dickless. Sai said slowly as Ren and Angel nod. A henge would be detected easily by a cage, even if theirs were good enough to fool most everyone else with the chakra masking seal. Oh, my dear Kimono, I think it is you who don't understand the power of Fuinjutsu, especially my new seal. I grin. Now, who should we take out? I hold up the book, pointing to 5 names from IWA that would fit our bill. I say Deidara. Ren shouts excitably, pointing to the only S-Class one. Absolutely not. He's S-class for a reason, and besides that there's no info on his whereabouts. You know Captain Misako said even her best trackers can't catch a whiff of him, and the rumor is he's joined the Akatsuki. I swipe the book away. What about this one? Midori Hideki, a mid-A class who has the note that his remains should go to the Tsuchikage for the reward. He's said to be running a human trafficking ring in Taki. Sai says, trying to keep the peace. Fine, but if we run into Deidara, can we take him out? Ren pleaded. Okay. In the astronomically small chance that we run into the guy, we will take him. Not like it's going to happen, the Akatsuki are underground right now. Now, let's go to the hot springs. I end cheerfully. Undoing the privacy seals, I drag Sai and Ren out, almost forgetting to put our henges on. Angel stays behind, opting to take a nap in a sunbeam. In the lobby of the hot springs, the secretary pointed us to a waiting bench. I'm sorry, children, but there's an hour-long backlog. Why don't you sit on the bench and I'll try to get you guys in quickly, she said kindly. Ren sighs, plopping down next to a stranger, acting very much like a petulant child. Sai and I join her. This sucks. Waiting's boring, she growled. I know, The stranger's voice agreed. Glancing up, Ren's eyes grew wide and a grin threatened to split her face. Why hello, there. She says. I turn towards her, knowing that tone. Seeing what caught her fancy, I pale and curse mentally for my earlier promise. Ramen be damned. Deidara. Hotel, with Naruto. Why hello there, I'm Ren Uzumaki. Ren's sickly sweet voice greeted the S-class missing nin. He's dressed in the familiar Akatsuki cloak, looking annoyed at the world. I'm Tamaki. I say after a moment. Hello, I am Sai, Sai says. I shoot him a glare, which he ignores. Why does nobody see the need for aliases? I'm Deidara. I view art as a bang. What is your view on art? He asked, looking at us intense. Art is perfection, the black lines that reveal the truth of one's soul, Sai replied with hidden passion. Deidara scoffs at this and I sweat drop at his response. Can he get any more boring? I have seen walls with more interesting views on their hobbies. Walls have hobbies? Exactly. Well, I think art is what you say it is, I say. Deidara seems to hate my answer even more. Crap, having an S-class murderer hate you for any reason equals an early death. Humph. Of course ramen freak and pasty would be so mundane. Art is obviously your enemies on the battlefield that fall to your sword. I mentally face palm. Of course she had to hint at being a shinobi, so much for inconspicuous. However, she sent a quick pulse to us. New plan. Gathering intel. You're a shinobi? He asked suspiciously. And how old are you? None. I would never join a village, I'm a free agent. I'm 10, why? She asked. I really do face palm at this. She obviously had a death wish. No reason. Just that if you belonged to a village I would have to kill you. My organization is hiring after someone defected and I'm supposed to meet the guy here and test him, I was going to relax first, but now I need to show you the true meaning of art. You're going to witness my beautiful art, children. You will cast away your blasphemy and realize art is an explosion. Deidara jumped up, grabbing and dragging us. He made a clay bird large enough to carry us. Ren became oddly giddy at this information, though I can't tell which part. Get on, he ordered. I can follow myself. Ren said, and dropped her henge. Angel jumped out of a window with Ren's swords. I have proficient skill to follow as well, Sai said as he drew his personal travel beast, the giant ink bird. I like you too, Deidara smirked. He turned to me expectantly, looking eager to see what I pulled out. I need a ride. I say sheepishly. I rub the back of my head sheepishly. I take it you're the weak link, Deidara tsked, disappointed apparently. Shut up. Not everyone wants to fly. I say hotly. I step on the bird, only to be thrown off. Don't want to, or can't. Outside the hotel, 2 miles away in a clearing sat a man with a scratched IWA headband. I recognize him as an S-class missing nin with an absurdly large bounty simply because of his Keikei Genkai that IWA still wanted. The note on his bounty said the body had to be intact to collect so they could study it for the bloodline secrets. The man was over 200 pounds of fat and shorter than Deidara. His flabby arm waved in the wind as he greeted Deidara once we landed. Hashiki Tachibana, My organization wants you to join after I test you. Deidara said while sticking his hands in his clay pouches. Yeah, you art-obsessed brat. I heard you stole a kinjutsu for your art and blew things up. Your rank is a joke. I killed my entire clan with my Keikei Genkai, and I'll show your little fan club why you're nothing but a punk. The other ninja said. Let me show you that art is a useless pastime. I flipped out my bingo book. The guy had indeed killed his clan, of 3, 2 of which we children, about 10 years ago, making him the last holder of a special absorbing bloodline. He was able to stop jutsu by absorbing it into his body. Obviously the Akatsuki wanted him because Jinhirikis we usually ninjutsu specialists, even if he was clearly lacking in the other areas. Deidara's aura turned murderous. Stand back, my 2 little minions. I will show this non-believer what art is. He said darkly. Wait. I'm here too. Don't count me out. I say indigently. He scoffed. You aren't worthy of being a minion. I haven't even seen you use chakra or fly. Jumping back on the bird, Deidara flew high, taking me with him. I was about to retort or actually do something, but a pulse of play along stopped me. Up above, Deidara sends out a flurry of bug bombs. All of them hit, exploding in a massive ball of chakra flames and smoke. That was anticlimactic. I sweat drop. If this was S-class from IWA, even if he was overrated, then I could see how my father defeated them single-handedly. Deidara is about to respond but stops as his mouth drops open slightly. That infidel. How dare he do that to my art? He ground his teeth, and I look down. My mouth also drops open. The man was eating the explosion. Deidara sent another volley of explosions, slightly larger. Same result. Hashiki just laughed. Is that all you got, freak? He bellowed. I only brought explosions with me, damn it Kakuzu, this is why you shouldn't cut my supply budget. He's not good enough to keep alive, what to do? I refuse to use taijutsu, much too sweaty. Deidara grabbed his hair in frustration. Ren had landed on Sizeberg and had him fly near us. Deidara-senpai. Tamaki. I have a plan. She said over the wind. Senpai. I thought she wanted to kill him. Deidara and I looked towards her. Tamaki. Send a wind-style move down there. Deidara-senpai, send some explosives riding on the wind. That won't help, he'll just absorb my art. Deidara huffed. Ren glared. Just do it. Her short red hair swirled around her head and her face darkened. Hi, of course. Deidara gulped. We prepare the doomed combo, me shouting, wind style, screaming wave. As a high-pitched, supersonic wind rips towards Hashiki. Hashiki smirked and prepared to absorb the chakra. Ren instantly produced 10 kunao, throwing them towards the overweight man with deadly accuracy. The wind carried them down while Deidara's blasts hid them. AHH. Hashiki's blood-curdling scream echoed in the clearing. We land and walk over as the smoke cleared. Hashiki's corpse greeted us, Ren's kunao embedded in different kill shots, 2 of which ripped through the chest after their speed was enhanced with my jutsu. Deidara whistled. Impressive, Ren. Not as artistic as it could be, but effective. Too bad I can't claim the bounty, IWA would kill me. He chuckled. Ren sidled up. Hey, Deidara-senpai? Since I killed that weakling, can I join your organization? Ren's eyes took on a puppy dog look. Sigh, and my eyes bulged. She wanted to join the Akatsuki. The organization sent to kill me. Abort. The plan was to kill him or leave him. Explain later. Play along. Oblivious to the hidden conversation, Deidara looked contemplative. You're smart, young, and you aren't affiliated with any village. Your skills in flying and the no doubt increased senses from your fox features would be useful, but, what else can you do, he said. Ren got her salesman grin. Well, I'm considered a master of the Uzumaki assassin-style kenjutsu and am proficient in silent killing. Kisame is better, Deidara countered bluntly. She can juggle. Sai suggests. Tempting, but Toby can do it better, I bet. She can play shogi, I say. Zetsu is a good shogi partner. I am a level 7 out of 15 poisons master. She said. Sasori is a level 15 and he created the leveling system. Ren grew a tick mark. I am a pre-master level Fuinjutsu user and will soon be the first level of master within a year, she countered proudly. I blink a bit at this. I didn't know she'd progressed that much in the last 9 months. I knew she used her max 9 shadow clones for study, but wow. I guess that's what the difference between a full Uzumaki and a half-blood. That sounds interesting, but what else? What else? Why iota, humph, I can Usamokyutan, she said in a flurry with gritted teeth. What was that last part, I said, I can use Mokyutan, Ren scowled. 3 seconds of bated silence pass. She was then instantly enveloped into a hug. I accept. Welcome my little Koi. He screamed. I pale in the thought of her joining, so soon after we get back together. Deidara-senpai. She said after he finally released her. Yes, my little Koi. These two are my traveling companions. They wanted to join IWA for a better life, and since you can't claim the bounty, can they? Normally no, but it could be fine, especially since it was you guys' work that killed him. Fine, but in exchange we leave tomorrow. For now, the hot springs call. Deidara hefts Ren on his shoulders as they fly back on the bird, Angel popping out of her backpack and sticking her tongue out at me. That damn cat. Sigh, let's beat them back. I announce. Hearing no response I turn back, finding myself alone with Hashiki's corpse, Sai long gone. A note flutters down. Dickless. I refuse to let Deidara's bird beat mine in speed. Find your own way back. Well, I don't suppose you have a way back, do you? I ask Hashiki. Receiving no response I sigh and set to work creating a corpse storage scroll. That night, Guardian's room. The 4 of us sit in a circle around a flashlight, the dim glow highlighting my glare, making Ren twitch uncomfortably. First, you make me promise we can kill an S-class ninja. I hold up my hand to stop her from speaking. Then, without consulting Sai or I, you switch tactics to befriending said S-class criminal and joining his criminal organization. An organization, may I remind you, that wants to rip Kurama out of my gut, killing me and doing who knows what to him. Am I getting this right? Why yes, but nothing. Deidara could have easily seen through my hench had I not quickly threw on a suppression and holding seal to reinforce it, and he just didn't care enough about size. Ren, what the hell? I'm shouting at the end, Sai holding me back. Calm down, Dickless, it makes sense if you look past your feelings. Sai said. How does joining the Akatsuki make sense? I scream. If not for the privacy and silence seals we would have been found out by now. A spy. I'm going to spy on the Akatsuki. No. Absolutely not. Danzo was one thing, he wanted you alive. If they find out about you, I can't finish. I won't lose a clan member. Then I'll channel chakra in the necklace you gave me, or I'll use my lieutenant necklace to go back to the Fox clan. She said with an uncharacteristically blank face. I'd never seen her like this. But why? Sai, ramen freak, no, Naruto, as you know I am the lieutenant of the assassination and infiltration squad. Most everyone, me included, focus on the first part, but we frequently join the human intelligence and the interrogation squads for large-scale operations. We've been trying for a while to get good intel on the Akatsuki since their spy Zetsu makes the Shadow Foxes ineffective, and there's a standing order that trumps every other order, even ones given by our summoner, you, that states any opportunity to either infiltrate, take one out, or gather intel on the group is to be taken. Originally I planned to subtly interrogate him, but as soon as Deidara mentioned they were hiring I had to follow through and do everything I possibly could to be allowed in. And technically, I'm not in yet. My head whips sharply up at that. What are you talking about? Deidara said very enthusiastically, if I might add that you were in. I say. Ren winced. No, he told me on the way back that Leader Sama will access my abilities and intentions and make sure I'm up to par. I should be fine. I'm high A class by summoning clan standards, making me a low S class here by the ninja world standard. And according to our spotty intel they want world domination using the Baijuya. I can act crazy enough and my skills will convince them. She looked away. All 3 of us and Angel could be considered A class, and with my Hirishin and Baijuya chakra I could be considered as deadly as an S class against armies, but still, Ren clearly outclassed us. You're like Itaki Nii, I say softly. Sai and Ren quirk their eyebrows. You're a true genius, and you aren't afraid to do horrible things for the greater good. You do realize you will have to let go of your morality completely? You might lose yourself. I say softly, remembering that Itaki had not only killed the Uchiha Council, but was originally going to slaughter the whole clan. If I do, you and Sai will bring me back, right? Yeah. It's a promise. I say. We won't let you give into the darkness, Sai adds. Angel purrs. And you, I say pointedly at the cat. Watch after her, okay? Angel nods. Okay, Pasty, Ramen Freak, tomorrow I'll be starting Operation Cloud Removal. By the end of it the world will be free of the Akatsuki or I'll die trying. Ren said with tears. And when that day comes, we'll be here to help. And so will Itaki and Shisui. I add. I bet Gaara would aid us as well. He is training hard after your warning, Sai chimed in. Gaara and I exchanged letters once a month or so while Sai to my surprise wrote him once or twice a week. I'll hold you guys to that promise. Let's show those arrogant S-classers why they shouldn't mess with the Guardians. We all laugh at that and spend the rest of the night talking about anything and nothing. Next morning. We watch Deidara's bird fly off into the distance, the last view we'll have of our friends for possibly years. I hope we can all get strong enough to fight the Akatsuki off, even if Ren had to do so in the lion's den. Flashback. Sealing supplies, enough for an army. Poison books, including Lady Doku's next book for you, a copy of the rest of the Fuinjutsu books, jutsu scrolls over water, wind, and earth with 10 jutsu ranging from C to a rank. The Mokyudan scrolls Tenzo sent with you that has training tips and 30 jutsu on them ranging from D to S Taijutsu and Kenjutsu scrolls in the advanced level. And finally the Fox clan sent you scrolls for Angel with Taijutsu and various jutsu from the Hellcats. Sai read out Ren's supplies, making her grumble. Yes, yes. I checked everything. Don't worry, I'll send updates when I can, and I'll learn everything you sent me. If I can, I'll even get some of the members to teach me things. She hefted her backpack up. The teaching scrolls were sealed on her shoulder but her supplies were stored in various scrolls in the bag. Just be careful, and get out alive. I say. All 4 of us gather for a hug, our last one for a long time. End flashback. Let's go, I say, turning away from the fading bird. We'll apply the appearance-altering seals now and make our way to IWA. It's time the Guardians be unveiled as Natsu Uzumaki. I say, and draw the seal on my chest. Activating it to reveal a red-haired and green-eyed boy without any whisker marks. I wanted to have a different last name but being an Uzumaki was the only way to be believably this good at seals. And I will be, Sora, because I fight mainly in the sky. Sai said after a moment. I nod and draw the seal quickly on his chest. When it finishes a blue-haired, purple-eyed boy emerges. After some extensive tests we slide our guardian disguises on. I try to ask Kurama for his opinion, but then remember, I blocked his influence to keep IWA from sensing him. Now only a small trickle of chakra flows within me. For the first time in years my head was my own. I hated it. Pushing those thoughts away for later I put a false cheer voice and clap my hands. Now we just have to trick a village into letting us become sponsored bounty hunters or, if that fails, ninja dash, discreetly collect info on them for the war, and convince them to use my seals we sell them. Is letting them use your seals wise? Sai asked as we started jumping through the trees toward Earth. Heh. You forget, Kimono, that in Mist I made them copy-proof. I found in my latest Uzumaki book a seal that attaches to all of the creator's seals. With it, I can choose to make every seal I make, explode. I smirk as Sai falters slightly. That's incredible. I know. We could end up ending the war before it starts. Well, as long as IWA doesn't have an Uzumaki seal master. Is the Hokage and the council sure IWA is preparing for warfare? I nod in confirmation. Yes, unfortunately, there's a spy in the academy right now and their curriculum has been switched to wartime. Konoha has done the same thing, but unlike IWA they aren't letting the students graduate in 2 years to keep suspicion minimal. Instead, every graduate will be high genin in a wartime specialty. Jiraiya has been ordered to find Tsunade to increase the medical nin program but he's off the grid. Word is that he's looking for me for training and the Hokage has sent trackers to inform him of recent events. I pause to let it sink in. Our mission is easily S-class but there's no record to protect it in case of spies. The Hokage told me that even if we have to join IWA for 3 years and work as their ninja, we have permission to do it. If we have to fight Konoha shinobi, and have to kill them, we have permission to do so. Sai's breath hitches. Yes, I know. But our mission will save thousands, and will either prevent or end swiftly the Fourth Great Shinobi War. I left Root, but this sounds like something they would do. I think about it this way, I left Konoha to save it from inner turmoil. I killed Missing Nin, stopped a civil war, and helped end a madman's reign, all for Konoha. I'm doing this insane mission, all for Konoha. But, you know, it's not for the place. I couldn't care less about the village, and if I'm honest, I don't do it for most of the people. Then why? I do it for the people I do care about. I do it for the Hokage, the Umbu I've made friends with, my old classmates, Shisui, Itake, even the children in general. But mostly, I do it for Kano Amaru. My goal now is to keep him pure, crazy as it sounds. His dream is to be Hokage, to change our village, and I want to see his vision to come to pass. I don't want him to see war, or at least not the filthy side. If I can end this, he can grow up as a ninja but keep his idealism. Our profession doesn't really allow for that, Sai commented dryly. I chuckle. I know, and I'm probably a fool. But if it means my little brother can change the world. I pull my mask away and look at Sai with fire and determination. Then I'll gladly be a fool for the rest of my days. That's what the will of fire means to me. Tell me, Sai, what is your will of fire? I don't know, honestly. I've never really thought about why I fight for Konoha. He admitted. Well then, we'll just have to find yours. Night before reaching IWA. Sai was lost. His body was on the way to a clearly questionable mission and his mind was focused enough to be on lookout. But he was lost. Growing up in an orphanage before being taken en route at 4, Sai never thought of the future. Even when Naruto, his Teiko, his captain, his best friend, and Ren, his crazy teammate, his friend, his loud counterpart, rescued him and told him all about their lofty and insane self-made mission, he never looked past the short term. Then they separated from Ren, and killed the source of his nightmares. Oh yes, Sai had nightmares. It's just nobody would ever be able to tell. Sai was looking forward to after this long-term mission, to when IWA was gone and the three of them went home, whatever that meant. And then Ren left. And despite his best efforts at ignoring the logical sense in the matter, it could very well be the last time he saw her. Because their plan relied on the whole group to be believable, while hers was simply a self-induced suicide, though Naruto tried to ignore it. But Sai pushed those dark thoughts aside, and forced himself to find an anchor. His only goal was getting him and Naruto out safe. Screw the mission if need be. He wasn't going to let another brother die. IWA. We were here. 2 weeks of travel through the rocky terrain, including getting lost 3 times. But, we made it. Both of us are nervous, for with just 2 of us, the ploy to be hired bounty hunters won't work as well, but we made it. Halt. State your names and business, a guard asks at the gate. I stiffen slightly. Go time. We are traveling bounty hunters with the body of Hashiki Tachibana. We need an audience with the Tsuchikage for the bounty. I show the scroll, quickly unsealing it to reveal Hashiki's body before resealing it. The guard snorts. Like 2 kids managed an S-class criminal. Again, I ask, what's your names? I sigh slightly. Even after growing to 4'3", I still gave off the small child vibe, despite being deadly and 11 in 7 months or so. This is Sora. Sai bows with a greeting, and I'm Natsu Uzumaki. The guard's breath hitches as I pull off my hood and mask to reveal my red hair. I notice his face paled slightly. I knew IWA feared Uzumaki's because of Uzu, but dang. I'm surprised though when the guard bows. Ah, forgive me, Uzumaki-san. I didn't recognize your clan affiliation with your mask. IWA welcomes you. I nod wearily. Thank you, Shinobi-san. We are part of the Guardians, no doubt you've heard of our little group. The guard's face brightened. Of course. Your bounty list and exploits in Kiri are legend. Is it true you are a master level at seals? Again, a weary nod. We are ushered in quickly, making my stomach churn. Something isn't right. Let's just get you down to the T and I to get you approved for an audience. Onaki's office. Currently Onaki was battling his arch-nemesis, paperwork. With the war they were planning in a few years, construction, shinobi examinations, and recruitment forms were abundant. Tsuchikage-sama. A messenger from his north gate ran in, bowing low. What's the meaning of bursting in here? The old cage narrowed his eyes at the smile sent his way. Forgive me, sir. But if you recall, you ordered every ninja to keep an eye out for Uzumakis to give IWA Seal Masters? And to try and locate that Guardian group for the young Seal's master and his allies. Yes, why? Well, the Guardians group showed up, or at least two did, so it's more of a partnership than group at our gates with Hashiki's corpse, and the Seal Master in their group is an Uzumaki. They should complete their interviews within the next 2 days. The guards are also tasked with do a comprehensive skills assessment. The guard's elation is apparent, and Onaki had a grin to match his subordinates. Excellent. Now we just have to convince them to stay and fight for IWA. With an Uzumaki Seal Master and the Guardians, IWA will be unstoppable. Onaki chuckled, motioned for his advisors, and waited for his future subordinates or hired help, if worst came to it, to show up. 2 days after dropping off the corpse and getting the bounty, we finally get the clear to see the Tsuchikage. They seemed eager when we mentioned our services, and 2 days of tests and skill assessments later it was time to meet our future boss, if things went well. Sai and I are pushed into the Cage's office. Onaki from the Hokage reports. Known for his dust release, the aged Hokage held Konoha, particularly my father, in contempt for the Third Shinobi War. Looking around as the surprisingly small Cage something I can appreciate studies us, I notice that in addition to Onaki and his 2 advisors, there's 10 hidden chakra signatures. My eyes flick around to them, my mask off still, as is Sai's. Normally a shinobi wouldn't want to reveal that he knew his enemy was there. It certainly would have been simple to pretend I didn't notice the Umbu agents hidden about, but this meeting was about power. We had to make them drool over us, desire our power, and then dangle it like a tasty piece of meat in front of starving wolves. It had to work. Even if I had to wear a damn IWA headband, I would get in. Sai appears impassive next to me, but I feel a pulse. Whatever it takes. Good. We're both on the same boat. Onaki watched in slight fascination. Here was a boy 10, according to the profile he filled out, that noticed his elite guards. Amazing. Onaki had to have him, even if only as a bounty hunter that sold seals to them. Onaki wasn't stupid. He learned his lesson in Uzu: treat an Uzumaki with respect and their seals will win you any war. Tick them off, and they will somehow find ways to use a single seal to demolish you. IWA needed this Uzumaki. From the skills assessment, he was almost on the last level of Uzumaki level ceiling. His Kenjutsu, Taijutsu, and Ninjutsu were at least Jonin level. He knew how to seal poison into tags, and created an impenetrable barrier in 5 minutes. And his partner, the pale boy that appeared to be emotionless yet crafty, beat his Umbu Kenjutsu specialist, and his use of Ink Ninjutsu was almost a self-made Keikei Genkai. The boy was adept at medical ninjutsu and genjutsu as well, balancing his partner out. Oh yes, he would have them. Thank you for coming, Natsu Uzumaki, Sora. I am Onaki of the 2 scales, and Tsuchikage. These are my advisors, Ken Shinyami and Hideki Matsumoto. I would personally like to welcome you to Uegakur. I bow low, Sai following suite. It is an honor, Tsuchikage-sama. We wish to discuss a possible mutually beneficial relationship. Sai's smooth diplomatic tongue says it all perfectly. Onaki sends a sidelong glance to his advisors. They nod, and Hideki steps forward. Obviously the diplomatic specialist, I muse. We are eager to discuss such possibilities, given your skills at such a young age. Hideki dances around the subject. I am sure there is something we can do for the Guardians. Oh no. I think the question is what we can do UIWA. 1 year later, I skipped the meeting for later, and the awkward, getting their trust, period just seemed pointless as I was working on the new outline. The first shinobi gave the signal, and a second later the land of Earth's main weapons plant went up in flames, the fires so hot it would melt the surrounding rocks by sheer heat alone. One of the guards in the surrounding towers is killed using a move known primarily in Kumo by the second. After being caught red-handed, the 2 leave, disappearing in the night. Uegakur, Naruto, and Sai's house. I wince as the memories hit me, my reinforced shadow clones dispelling after taking down the target a day away, but smile at the success. The 2 clones used only basic explosives and one of Kumo's lightning moves courtesy of Itaka for this very purpose before disappearing into nothing. IWA would soon be blaming their ally Kumo, and after Kumo was insulted, Konoha would be there to stroke their egos. Perfect. Everything okay, Natsu? Sai asked. We never knew who could be listening. Yeah, just fine, Sora. Just nervous about the mission. I smile in the dark. Though Sai knew I meant Mission Rock's End, as we came to think of this as, everyone would think I meant the lovely S-rank in secrecy assassination job we are going on tomorrow. The daimyo isn't all for Iwa's war plans and started pulling money. The sun is paying, but IWA can't ever be implicated in the backlash should it go wrong. Their solution? Sai and I. The negotiations a year ago came out more convoluted than my living status in Konoha. Rumors abounded of my death, livinghood, training, and even that I was kept in the depths of Konoha as the Hokage's pet. It ended to where sometimes like my seals for IWA, or certain missions we were Natsu Uzumaki and Sora, two up-and-coming Chunin in the village. Other times like this mission or while tracking Iwa's missing nin, which were larger than all the other nations we were Kitsune and Kimono, freelance bounty hunters that just gained the coveted S-class slot, even if it was complete bull as that Tsuchikage stretched our exploits and abilities. Even so, by the time the 3 years were up we would be able to hold that title. Sai interrupted my musings with a cough. Don't worry, I'm sure it will go fine, tomorrow. I say, letting him know it was a success. I sigh in relief. Thankfully IWA doesn't know of my shadow clone ability, or Hirishin. I had May put my Hirishin as an advanced Shunshin's, which I perfected even if it is annoying, and the shadow clones as water clones since those don't have the limitless range. Next night, I eat a chakra pill and continue running, Sai on my back, bleeding profusely from the shoulder. We completed the job, but couldn't claim success in my book. Sai was barely breathing and I had to have one of my clones set fire to a political building in the opposite direction to ward off pursuers. From its memory there was at least 5 casualties. Damn it, screw the cover, I mutter out. I Hirishin us to a tag halfway back to IWA, hidden in a rock formation, hoping nobody saw us. My chakra coils burn as I summon a medic fox, who instantly worked on Sai. Damn, I miss Kurama. If I had access to him I wouldn't be on my last legs right now. How long until he can be moved? Around 4 hours, Naruto. The fox, a rusty brown two-tail whose name escaped me, says. I nod and lean back on my rock, wrapping my own cracked ribs and small cuts. It was a perfect plan until the kid came in. Flashback. The daimyo was in his study, looking over reports. His son insisted he get the paperwork done tonight so he could be ready for his grandson's birthday party tomorrow. Looking at the picture on his desk of the boy, he had to smile. He was the reason he decided to push Earth's hidden village into peace. He didn't want his grandchild to know war, or any other child. Like always when he really needed to focus, he sent his guards out. Sai waits in the rafters, needing my signal. The plan was to strike fast and get out of there. I had the fast-acting toxin in his tea already shadow clone covered in it acting like a fly works wonders and now we just had to wait. The daimyo found himself unable to breath or make a sound. Now. With speed unseen usually without chakra Sai is behind him and slits his throat. Not even a gurgle is heard from the man, and Sai wipes his dagger on the daimyo's robes. We nod behind the masks blank ones with a seal that would alter our appearances into 2 taller, more muscular-looking assassins and are about to leave. The door opens, and in runs the grandson. Crap. We can't kill the child of the client and before I can reach him to knock the boy of 4 out, he screams. Instantly the room fills with the elite guard, 8 of 10 of them. Though most were barely B-rank samurai Earth didn't have the guardian ninjas it was clear they knew how to use their swords. Sai flashes through signs. Earth style, rock spheres. Spikes erupt from the ground. The guards jump away, but my use of water bullet hits one in the throat, killing him instantly. Thankfully the kid had already been whisked away. Looking around I know we'll have to kill more of the men to escape, but the new daimyo didn't want them around anyway, wishing to have better men like in Fire Country. At least killing them wouldn't cause an uproar. We make it out, but not without me utilizing a fire and wind combo and Sai a super beast snake, both of which could be recognizable, even if the snakes were new. Hopefully the absence of a henge to be detected will lead them off the Guardian's trail. Sai takes a sword through his shoulder before I behead the guy, almost near the heart, and I exhaust my chakra. Sending a clone to lead them off our trail I run at top speed through the mountain range. End flashback. If only I had been faster, this wouldn't have happened. I had been arrogant, thinking the mission was only S-class for secrecy, not difficulty. The past successes had gone to my head, causing the belief I was infallible. Don't worry, he'll be fine, the medic fox says while her tails glowed green on him. I know. Now tell me what Konoha sends. Tsuchikage's office, 12 hours later. Onaki was speechless. His two operatives not only completed the mission despite the interruption he planned on making the new daimyo pay a bonus to the boys as compensation, but they killed 4 of the elite guards and got out of there alive without their identities being discovered. Though the guards were soft like their master, for 11-year-olds it was unheard of. Even hearing the tale for the 3rd time didn't take the awe out of it, especially as they were only 11. If only Onaki could brag about this to the other nations without tipping his hand, having an S-class duo at such a young age, even if Natsu kept insisting on being modest and claiming they were A-class. As if. 4 S-class missions this year, all completed, and 20 Bihaya bounties gathered. If that wasn't S-class then he was a pink monkey. And that's not including Natsu's sealing work or their Chunin mission records. The boy created a new barrier for their walls, and supplied them with all of their other seals. At his request Natsu made them all copy-proof, making them safe from the Konoha scum. The 2 in front of him had become like grandsons to him, and he could tell the 2 viewed IWA as home. This arrangement worked, and like his advisors schemed, letting them settle in slowly has caused the stone's fire to settle in them like every other shinobi under their command. I am relieved you are both safe. Now go home for a week and rest. However, Natsu, would you make more flash tags, Tsuchikage-sama? Consider it done. I'll have 500 on your desk by the end of the week. The cheesy banter between the 2 convinced Onaki further of his decision. Now if he could just get his granddaughter to be as dedicated. Thank you for your consideration, Tsuchikage-sama. Please excuse us, Sai said, bowing with only a slight wince. I collapse in my bed, Sai doing the same on his. Think he trusts us yet? I signed subtly using the new code we created just for this. It used a combination of facial expressions like the Uchiha, Umbu signs, and pulses. Sai barely nods. His body language and actions suggest him thinking of us as family or at least loyal shinobi. How much longer? 1 year. Keiko, remember, the fox that spied on the meeting between Sarutobi and Danzo, heard in the war meeting last week that they will be participating in the Chunin exams held in Konoha then. I already had her take the plans to the Hokage. Last night I heard back through the foxes. We are to continue with the plan, and since Onaki seems to see us as family, we are to play off of that. It is ironic that this mission is much like a Root mission. Well, Konoha is using the kids we helped like Root, but with more morals and emotions. Apparently one of them became friends with Saru. That annoying brat who clings to you? Sai and Konohamaru didn't get along. Sai thought my little brother as annoying, loud, and untalented, while Saru swore Sai never smiled and was clearly a robot. Both were wrong about the other, but the animosity was there in every letter and conversation. Yeah, sure, that one. I turn and go to sleep, finally relaxing. Make. Konohamaru vs Hinata PT1. Konohamaru Sarutobi had just been moved up to the class his nii-san would be in if he wasn't a kick-ass bounty hunter. Class, this is Konohamaru Sarutobi. He's been moved to this class because of how advanced he is. I trust you'll make him feel welcome. Irika looked stern, not wanting the older children to bully the Hokage's grandson. Yes, sensei, the class intoned. Konohamaru walked up, looking for a seat. He couldn't sit next to Sasuke. He promised vengeance on him for taking more of his brother's time after the dobe left. Konohamaru wouldn't take his secretly genius brother being mocked like that, so he pranked him, making his hair rainbow for a week, and Shikamaru, one of his nii-san's old friends, was sleeping. The only place left was next to a Hyaga. Sitting down he turns toward her, smiling brightly. Hello. My name is Konohamaru and I'm going to be Hokage one day. He stuck his hand out. Hinata, who had already spent months under Anko, hissed at him. Listen here, maggot. Talk to me again and I'll send my snakes after you. As to emphasis, this a cobra stuck out of her trench coat. Her shoulder-length hair was in a messy bun and held by a senbon, while she wore a short skirt and mesh top and halter. Overall she screamed dangerous. And Konohamaru, despite Naruto's last letter of fighting smarter and trusting your gut, ignored his danger sense. Oh yeah, crazy snake girl. I'll talk to you if I want. He proclaimed loudly. Everyone in the immediate radius back off, as the new Hinata, that had appeared after their long-forgotten classmate was declared dead, erupted in a purple aura. Kukyuku, you'll regret that, Kaki. You. Me forest of death, now. She got up and sauntered out the classroom, Irika not stopping her. Konoha considered backing out, but a constrictor wrapped around him and dragged him by the ankle behind its mistress. Let us all say a prayer for our fallen comrade, Konoha Sarutobi. May his death be painless. Irika bowed his head, as did the whole class. After a moment he clapped his hands. Now open your math books to page 32. Nobody noticed once Sasuke Uchiha had followed. He couldn't allow someone else take his revenge after all. Naruto and Sai, preview. I stand guard behind Oniki as I enjoy the sight of my little brother taunt attack his little brother. I know Saru can't win, and that the next match between Gaara and Neji Hyuga was the catalyst for war, but the sight of Saru hitting Sasuke with a glitter paint tag makes everything seem okay. The Kazekage, who is so obviously Orochimaru, chuckles at the display. Sasuke gets serious, and backhands Saru into the far wall, an instant knockout. Poor Saru. Heh, the brat deserved it. I've missed you, Kurama. I smile warmly behind my mask. These 2 years without you sucked. Ready to take on 3 armies? The Mizukage, Hokage, and Raikage had an alliance, and would fight Oniki and Orochimaru. Yodataka, Ujito, and B would take on the other Jinhiriki. Sai was already with the medical corps, a shadow clone in his spot. Once the signal started, I would activate Plan Rock's End Phase 1, activating every tag the IWA shinobi had, killing most of their forces brought here 500 shinobi dash, and would then counter Orochimaru's barrier. 10 seconds. 9. 8. 1 second. Now. Go. I unfurl a scroll with a seal as complicated as the one my father used on me over 12 years ago. With a mixture of Chakra, Kurama, and I commit mass murder. Screams are heard throughout the area, but I push the nausea back. IWA was basically out of the game. But the war had just begun. The 4th Great Shinobi War has kicked off, and Ground Zero is my home. Time to go break Oniki's heart. Unknown location. The war has kicked off, Leader Sama. All 5 nations are fighting. Very well. Assemble everyone. It's time to start gathering Baijuya, and then the world will know pain. Yes, Leader Sama, it should be fun. Pain smirked on his throne. Soon, the evils of the world will be gone, pain would rule, and then peace would follow. After all, God decrees it,